carry him.
Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I'm your host, Chris Avalon, and in this show, we talk about all things going on in pop culture and hot topics, all that good stuff. So, if that is a show for you, definitely stick around because we have a lot of tea to spill on this late night show, including there's some rumors going around regarding a Halloween movie we could be getting just in time for its 50th anniversary in 2028. We also got to talk about Anthony Fantano and Halsey. They're going at it apparently. Olivia Rodrigo. We got some more news on the whole Daisy Chain Fields Festival and how fast them tickets sold, and on also what inspired her to create the festival. We also got to talk about Max Martin and Shellback selling their entire catalog, including past Ariana Grande, Frappuccino, and Taylor Swift songs. Super producer Nile Rodgers did an interview with Variety and spilled some tea about working with Madonna, meeting David Bowie, advice he got from Frank Sinatra, and a whole lot more. So we'll get into that because, you know, we love to nerd out with the music over here. And we also got to talk about how Lizzo is just complete and utterly clueless as to why her music flopped. We're going to get into the sad amount of sales that album sold. And she recently posted a clip in regards of some of the, I guess, the 20 that bought it. With somebody, don't let this album die on the vines. And she's like, I don't know what to do. Well, child, I'm gonna tell you what you need to do. You need to get both your big ass and get to work. That's what you need to do. That's just a little bit of the advice, but we're going to get into some of the extra stuff down the road. We also got to talk about Oprah Winfrey trifling ass, who decided on the, around the same time that we lost Clive Davis, she felt the need to go and spill some tea about Whitney Houston falling off the stage and being hired in Cooter Brown, according to her. So we're going to get into that. Plus, we got to talk about Danny Pintaro. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but he played Jonathan over on Who's the Boss. Now he is moonlighting as an Amazon delivery driver, and people are shocked by this whole situation that's going on. But this is the sad reality of the entertainment business. Residuals, people are making 6-cent checks. I mean, Billy Porter tried to tell y'all. Speaking of which, damn, I forgot to bring up a Billy Porter story. You know what? I'm gonna look that up, and I'm probably gonna add it to the docket. But it doesn't matter. And we also got to talk about Sam Smith. He revealed he got a new album. He also dropped a new single. I guess he's showcasing his man up in the situation. We got to talk about Drag Race Down Under. Child, we got an icon who has been making her coins beating RuPaul's face is going to be competing on Drag Race Down Under versus the world, and some of the other queens that are going to be performing on there, and Drake Vaughn just can't seem to keep himself out of trouble. So before we get to all those topics, if you could please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also smash the notification bell, hype the channel, do all the things that is required to keep this messy show messier. It's like, come on, I'm trying to see if I can find this thing because I think it was over on Critic where I saw it. The whole bit. Oh yeah, I found it. Oh my god, hold on, because I have to yeah, there was a story that I saw that Billy Porter say he had to hire a professional to teach him how to bottom. When I heard that, I hollered. So I was like, oh, we got to make that into a story. So hold on, because I'm like, where should I put that? You know what? We're going to put that before Drake Vaughn. That's what we're going to do, Chad. So yeah, there's that Billy Porter out here, child. One of my friends said something that had me cackling. So we're gonna get into that when we get around to that tea. But yeah, so the reason why we got a late show today is because I was not planning on it, but I was asked to to come into work earlier this morning. And I was like, do I really want to go in? But I was like, look, the coin's gonna be good. That week of July, the first week of July, is like I'm probably gonna be free that whole week, which is good because then I could actually go in and we could do a full-on Madonna album release situation. We can get on the live and I'll figure out how to do that. And then plus I have an interview situation that I'm working on with a friend of mine who is a designer that I'm trying to bring on the show. He and I have been speaking behind the scenes, and we're trying to figure out how we can do that. So I'm thinking I want to try to do that next week. So I'll have plenty of time finally to be giving y'all a show, but this week is gonna be two. It almost was just one. But I was like, I gotta come on the line and I gotta give y'all a show and all that other stuff, because I was like, I ain't gonna do that. I don't know. I can't be disappearing for like 6 whole days straight. Because that's why I was just like, I did not want to be doing a whole 6 day like straight. It almost was 7. I was like, I'd have been, mother would have been exhausted. But anyway, so now that I've gotten everything together and I could be done stalling, now let's see what the people saying. Nestle Crunchies in the building. The Rolling Stone dubs Hillary Dubb top album. Well, good for her. And you said, oh, so they heard the new Charlie XCX. I mean, it is coming out in a couple of weeks. Madonna's album comes out next week. So are we excited yet, right? Because what's today's date? Today is the 24th. Yeah, it comes out next week. So Madonna comes out next week. Her new album. So that's exciting. And then the following week we get Adam Lambert, and then I think the week after we get Charlie. So July's gonna be very entertaining. Congratulations, New York, on Piss and Moderates. Not only Miss Piggy Kelly, but them 2 funky bitches over there on the View too. Because I was on the bus watching, and it took every ounce of me. I'm not cussing out my own phone because I was watching when they were talking about the whole Blue Wave and Zoran and everything. And the only one, okay, I'll say this. Whoopi was doing her usual, hippy dippy, like she smoked a couple of blunts before she went on the live and just saying, oh, I just want to go with what the people say. But the ones that was really up there all for what's happening with the Blue Wave and everything seemed to be Joy and more or less Sunny. Sunny was going in. Then, of course, you got Alyssa and her damn parrot, Sarah, up there with the Zionist talking points, which was pissing me off. And Sarah was going in. And what irritates me about Alyssa, when she get passionate about her, the Jews are being attacked. No, they're not. They're going after like calling out people for being Zionists, and they don't like that. So when they're sitting up there saying that, and then Alyssa made a little snide kind of, oh, that's your opinion. And I'd have been like, yes, it is my opinion, which is why I gave it. See, sometimes you got to get real gutter with these white bitches, but then again, then they want to act like, oh, well, the black girl coming down on the white girl, just like the father of that Metcalf kid, the one that what's his name? The kid stabbed the other kid because and they had the twin brother, and we realizing that his father is a damn racist. He's been going all over Fox News and all these other places spewing all this racial shit. And that's why it irritates me, because I'm like, did y'all at the View not hear about this? Because that's what needs to be highlighted, the fact that maybe the reason why, and it's no shade, like, I mean, nobody has the right to take anybody's kid or whatever, but we have to also look at the breakdown of it all. Maybe the reason why your son is no longer on this earth breathing is because of the father that raised him. That the fact that when y'all be up in there spewing all this racist bullshit up in your house, and these kids think they can go out in the street and just say and do and treat people any which way they want, and there's no consequences to their actions, because a lot of y'all want to run out here being your kids' friends and failing as a parent and doing these other things, then you wonder why your kids is all fucked up or your kids end up dead or whatever the case is. Sometimes you parents need to look in the goddamn mirror and realize why your kids are the way they are, because racism, all that type of isms, homophobia, transphobia, all that shit is a learned behavior. Nobody wakes up one morning and decides to just be hateful towards a group of people. You choose it. So people need to take responsibility for some of the things that they say. And I think that's really what he mad about, the fact that he fucked up his own goddamn child, and his child is out here, dead. And then the biases that come with the legal system. Rosie telling Andy Cohen we're in Madonna summer because of film. We're not talking about a rapper. Who are we talking about? That Drake? Have people moved on from Olivia Rodrigo? Because Olivia Rodrigo, like, her festival's doing really well. So I don't know if people necessarily moved on from her. I mean, the music is the music. People are going to listen to the music. She's not somebody that always creates buzz and is going to be out here trying to, do the good old-fashioned promo thing. So Madonna's going to be constantly out and about, wearing her outfits, popping up in all these different places, and people being interested. And so that's what they're going to be doing with that. You said Benny is why the youth hates Israel. Who's Benny? Are you talking about Ben Shapiro? Well, his generation loves Israel because of what happened to Israel at the 1972 Olympics. And these people still trying to spew this bullshit Zionist crap, and that's why I'm like, okay, well. And then Sarah, I mean, and then you got Alyssa up there trying to give bad advice because somebody said, "Oh," and then they said, "You're next to Hakeem Jeffries." Well, they need to say it again because his ass need to go. Because what I would have followed up with, okay, so what exactly has Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer done for the Democratic Party since Trump has been in office? I'll wait. Writing strongly worded letters, and where has that gotten them? So, but then again, these people have to sit at the table, so they don't want to rock the boat too much on the centrist Democrat side. But you need to call out your side. If they're not going to do what needs to be done, the progressives need to step in and make waves. And then you get people, and then Alyssa trying to push this narrative of, well, they said that Biden is an R word and F Kamala Harris. Okay, fuck her then. I mean, I'm sure there was reasons why she said what she said, but of course they don't want to say that. But I think Sonny did call out something that she didn't mention. But you know, they all got their little ways of trying to start their bullshit. But I just love the fact that the YouTube comments, they was eating them up in there. Sarah and Alyssa going in on them. So that's what I love about the YouTube. I don't know if they'll do that over there on ABC or people write in or whatever. I'm like, at this point, who writes letters to the networks? It's like, write it under their page on YouTube. I'm sure they read it, or the producers read it. But anyway, I'm not trying to stay on here all night, so I want to get to some of these topics. Cause like I said, I ain't gonna be able to give y'all a show until next week. Cause I'm gonna be busy. I got 3 Rufus Du Sols. I just looked at my schedule. Child, I got so many Fish and Fish and Bon Jovi concerts. I don't think I got any Rush. I didn't even get Madison Beer, which I'm like, I couldn't name not one damn Madison Beer song, so I don't care. I didn't even get Louis Tomlinson. I'm like, you ain't give me a One Directioner, but I guess maybe they wait until next month when they give me like 800 of them damn Harry Styles shows. But anyway, let me hit my banner. And without further ado, let me get into my first topic, which is there's some Halloween news that came out, and just bear in mind it is strictly a rumor. We don't necessarily know if it's true as of yet, but word on the street is because we're going to be approaching in 2028, we're in like what, 2 years, the 50th anniversary of the original Halloween, which came out in 1978. Now, it would make sense to make a movie around that time, but there's been rumors floating around that I believe Paramount may have acquired the rights and going to be kind of joining forces with Miramax, similar to what they've done with Scream and Scary Movie. I also heard that they're going to be releasing a new Blair Witch movie in 2027, but I hated that original movie, so I could care less about another Blair Witch film. But anyway, so according to reports, I think Scream Horror Mag had this. They said that despite the movie's title, there was little belief that it would make a definitive end to the Halloween franchise. Talking about Halloween Ends, of course. Given that David Gordon Green's trilogy netted over 400 mil at the global box office, it was clear to all involved that there's still voracious appetite for all things Michael Myers. This seems to prove true when a bidding war broke out over the Halloween IP in 2023. Despite every major studio vying for the property, Miramax ultimately emerged victorious. The studio quickly announced plans for a Halloween TV series, but then from what I've heard, is that that series has been put on the back burner. So I don't know. They may revisit it down the road, but right now they've kind of put it on the back burner. But now they're from what the rumors are going around is that it has been shelved, and producers, I should say, are actively developing a new Halloween movie with a release window that will coincide with the 50th anniversary of the series. So I do think that will be a great idea, simply because like we had Halloween H2O, which was 20 years later after the events, and then we had Laurie Strode show up. She was an alcoholic. She had a son named John, played by Josh Hartnett. And I was saying, like, you know what? Maybe wouldn't it be interesting if they decided to do a sequel with her son? And maybe they could just kill off camera, say like she died of cancer, old age, something, and then Unfortunately, she didn't get to see Michael Myers get executed, and then the time comes and then something happens and all hell breaks loose and John's trying to stop Michael Weber on behalf of his mother. Maybe they could do something with that. I was also thinking that maybe we could do a legacy, like a sequel. I'm kind of iffy about the whole legacy sequel thing, but I was saying that if they were to do that, maybe we can get a sequel of Halloween 4 with Jamie Lloyd and Rachel. I say bring Rachel back from the dead because I hated the fifth movie and I hated the way that they killed her all because she went through so much, her and Jamie in part 4. She outwitted Michael in every way, and the way they just did her character in part 5, it was just, in my opinion, against everything that Rachel was, that she stood for, how she came across in part 4. Like, how do you bring on part 5 and it's just like, this isn't how she would act. This is not what she would do. Like, it was just ridiculous. And then I hated those stupid little like those stupid little sounds they put in that fucking movie. So I hated Halloween 5. And I hated the mask. I hated everything about that movie. Quiet as it's kept. then you made Jamie a damn mute. I'm like, come on. The person who did this movie should never be allowed to go near a damn movie again. Maybe he hasn't since. I don't know. I haven't kept up with him. So, yeah. So maybe you could do that. I do think at this point, if they don't decide to go to legacy thing, I do think we need to move on from the whole legacy situation because I'm starting to realize that maybe the whole legacy sequel trend, people aren't really for them. I've noticed that they don't do all that well at this point. People want, in so many ways, original IPs, or like when we're talking about nostalgia. So if y'all want to go the nostalgia way, maybe you make a new movie in 1978, like in the 70s or whatever, or make it modern day, which is maybe have Michael. You can take inspiration from Halloween, but instead of it being in 1978 or the 60s when he killed his parents, you bring it into like the 70s, and then he's like, or you could make it, because then he'll be in his 40s. But if you want to make him in like in his 20s, whatever, maybe, or 30s, you can have it take place in the 90s and then bring it modern day, but just with new characters. I do think it is time that we retire Laurie Strode, we retire a lot of those characters. Jamie Lee Curtis has been through the ringer, and I have to say, the many times when y'all try to do Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode justice, y'all have fucked up the situation. Although I like Halloween Ends as a individual movie, the way that David Gordon Green did this whole film this trilogy pissed me off. I like Halloween 2018. The way that he took stuff from the original film, brought it into modern day, brought in the podcast people, like that whole situation, and Michael escapes from prison, the Dr. Sartain thing. Yes, that was the weakest part of the thing, but I did like a lot of the swings that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride took in that movie. Halloween Kills, I don't know what the hell y'all was thinking with that. It was just like a straightforward Empire Strikes Back action slasher, gory, gore fest horror situation. So I did like the kills, but the way y'all handle a lot of characters, specifically, Kyle Richards, who was one of the kids in the original, I hated the way y'all handle her character in the movie. Although she had a good fight sequence with Michael Myers, the lack of development, and then you brought her in Halloween Ends and just wasted her. Then I also hated what y'all did with the nurse, who was from the original movie. You brought her back. This is for Dr. Loomis, and then of course she's shooting every damn where, missing him. And then when she finally gets him in the face, no bullets. So I'm like, really? This is how y'all gonna treat her character? So there were just dumb things that they were writing these characters to do in the movie, which ended them up getting killed. So it was kind of annoying me with a lot of stuff. Then it was overkill with the white guy when they went in the house and the black woman was sitting there watching her husband getting killed. I just hated that. I hate that fucking scene. Yes, it's a cool sequence, whatever the case was, but the way he treated that whole, I was like, okay, it's overkill. Relax. So I'm just like, oh, okay, you're overdoing it. And so I got a little annoyed with that. And then Halloween Ends, like I said, I like the idea of where they were trying to go with that, but it just didn't fit in with this whole trilogy thing that you were building the franchise up to be. So I feel like if you're going to go in, I do think y'all need to wipe the slate clean. Maybe, well, not maybe. I mean, you can kind of do the whole nostalgia thing to bring the original Halloween fans in, but I do think it's time to market this franchise to a newer generation, because Gen Z is the new people that y'all need to kind of be looking at, and maybe Gen Alpha, because, you know, they have their back rooms, they got Obsession, they got a lot of those little independent horror films that are starting to get traction. And you may need to look at that fan base to want to carry this whole situation over. I'm not saying you got to put a whole bunch of Gen Z-isms in it, but you do, if you want to have it like where Michael is in his 20s, but you go after a new generation of kids, I do think you need to bring it into modern day. We don't need to keep it in the 70s where he's 60 something years old now going around killing people. You can restart it over for a whole new generation, new characters, new story, and make it interesting. So I hope they find a way, they find something to do to get this whole franchise going again, because 50 years is definitely a long time to keep a franchise going. People love the Halloween franchise. People love Michael Myers. And if you want to keep this franchise going, you're going to have to find newer, fresher, and more interesting ways of keeping this franchise alive, which would mean coming up with new characters and I guess going for a younger Michael Myers, retconning and coming with a whole new story. And I'm sure that's something with the Akaz would want, because this is like their one big franchise that they want to keep going as long as they can. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Would you be here for a new 50th? Well, would you love to see a 50th anniversary Halloween movie? What do you think direction they should go in regards of coming up with a new idea? I do think that we have worn out uh the Laurie Strode character. It is time to move on to new characters. It is time to move on to new people. I don't know if you want to still keep it in Haddonfield, but it's time to come up with something newer and fresher and keep Michael as an evil force. We don't need that full-on stupid trailer park backstory that Rob Zombie gave him in his messy movies. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Almost thought you weren't going live today. I almost thought I wasn't going live either. Because I know it's like a late show. So I was just like, you know what? Let me try to do something real quick. Since I didn't give y'all, since I wasn't on yesterday, I was planning on going on today, but last minute I decided to, pick up a shift. And so I did the morning one. People was like, "You going to do a double?" I was like, after this game, I am taking my ass home." Was not doing a double because that game was starting at 7 o'clock. Bitch, Rob Zombie made Country Fed. Yeah, that was definitely like trailer trash. Well, Jenna Ortega, I think, got a new movie coming out with like some. I don't know. I didn't watch the trailer or whatever, but what's wrong with Jenna Ortega? She can still do stuff, but I mean, they have been taking chances on unknown actors or character actors and things. I mean, nobody knew who those two actors was in Obsession. Mm, No, I didn't see. I didn't even have a chance to look at that article, so that's why I wasn't added. All right, so now let's get into some music news. And let's talk about Anthony Fantano, who is getting dragged on social media because an old review. I didn't even get to watch the review. I was going to, but I got so busy I didn't have time to look at it because it did come up in my orbit and it's like a 9-minute review. But apparently he did in a review of Halsey's album about a year ago. It is resurfaced. She said something about him on social media. Now he is out here defending himself and standing 10 toes down on what he said. So on Sunday evening, after music critic content creator Anthony Fantano made a snarky comment about his review of Halsey's album, The Great Impersonator. The pop singer took to Twitter to quote tweet him and unload on the Needle Drop host, writing, quote, I'm certain my least memorable song will be remembered more fondly and for more time than anything you ever do with your life will be. And insinuating that he gave her a negative review because he's a misogynist raised by a 4chan edgelord bully culture. This is not the first time that Anthony Fantano has been called a misogynist. because a lot of people call him out on giving unfavorable reviews to a lot of female artists. Particularly, I will agree. I don't know if he's a misogynist. I don't know. I ain't sleep with him yet. I haven't slept with him, so I don't know what if he is a misogynist, and I ain't get to ask him after post coitus. But I will say that he did piss me off with his review of Slater's Worst Girl in America, which yesterday when I worked the Bleachers concert, I actually saw a guy in there that was wearing a Worst Girl in America hat. I almost wanted to ask where he got it. He probably just bought it because it's like merch out from her website or something you could buy. But sidebar, I had no idea that Jack Adnoff has so many homosexual fans. I'm talking about men. But the LGBTs was out at that concert. But anyway, so speaking of LGBT, because Halsey is a part of the community. Yeah, and then one person went on to say if they're more into the review than the album. And then she also said, who cares? He gave a bad review. I care that a pay for clicks reaction YouTuber can facade as a pro critic and say it's main character syndrome for an artist to lament her medical suffering on an album, surprise, about her own life. He's a raised by 4chan edgelord bully. Yuck. And yeah, so people say, so he's saying like she's doing this stuff for likes and all this other stuff, main character syndrome. I'm like, well, bitch, first of all, I am the main character in this story. Like, if I'm making an album about me, aren't I the main character in the story? Like, are you slow? Because it's like, yeah, I would think that anybody who makes music and you're making an album, whatever the case is, that you are presenting parts of yourself through what it is that you're singing about. So she should be the main character in her situation. But this is what happens when people who don't make music and understand the art of music, then they say if you can't do, teach. And that's exactly what this is giving. You don't have the ability to get out there and make a record. So you just go and you criticize because I guess you're a critic. And then another person said, I didn't like the album is criticism. An artist writing about her own illness on an autobiographical album is main character syndrome is just a weird complaint. Who exactly is supposed to be the main character in a record about her life, which is what I just said. And then she also said being a woman dealing with serious health issues often means being afraid of telling the truth about the pain you're in because you're afraid of not being believed or seeming of attention seeking. He validated that fear to thousands of women. So it's like, yeah, if I'm sitting there talking about things that were going on in my life where it was affecting my physical or my mental health or even just your health in general, I can't write about that. Like, that's what's going on in my life. And if I talk about it, how am I like, I just don't understand how you're basically saying that it's considered attention seeking. I mean, you want to, when you're making a record, when you're singing about certain songs, you want to bring attention to certain things. I'll even give you an example, and it's not even a singer. We'll talk about Funky Dineva. So Funky Dineva, y'all know, had colon cancer, whatever the case was. Oh, prostate cancer, that's what it was. Sorry. And stage 1. And he went in, told you all the procedures and things he had to do, and is telling them, like, yeah, as a black man in his early 40s, a lot of men don't go get prostate exams because y'all think it's gay to put things in your ass. Okay, well, you just gonna have to be. So if you want to sit around here with this homophobic energy, your homophobic ass will end up dying because you would let somebody stick a finger in your goddamn ass to check to see if you're cancer free or not. So if this is the shit y'all want to worry about, then have at it. However, when he started talking about this and getting and informing his watchers of the situation, it got a lot, because he has a large female fan base that watch his shows. It got a lot of the women to get their men to want to go to the doctor and get checked, because a lot of times black men don't go to the doctor. Oh, I'll just thug it out or whatever the case is. So when you shed light on things in your life, I think that's probably the same thing Halsey was doing. Whatever she was dealing with in her life, when she pushed it out there on the record, what she ended up doing was probably, hopefully, getting people to go to the doctor and get things checked, because whatever she went through, you want to make sure that that doesn't end up with you. Because a lot of times, and it's sad to say, that if a celebrity is going through something, People pay attention more to that than anything else. Oh, their favorite celebrity went through some, so that inspired me to go get checked. And if her music inspires people to make their lives better and healthy or whatever the case is, then that's all that matters. Just focus on, I wish critics would just focus on, when you listen to the music, just focus on the music as a whole and what that music was doing for you, or what were you expecting from the record and stuff, instead of trying to pick out all these little things and coming and trying to make up all these crazy things. But I guess that they do this because when you make your little comments, you do all that shit, and I know how it works. You get the clicks and likes, and you get to go viral, and you get to all it, and people comment on it. When you say negative shit, that'll get you way further than you giving a nuanced breakdown of whatever it is that you need to break down. So now on Monday, I believe it was Variety that spoke to him. Hold on, let me check and see where I got this. Yeah, it was Variety. So apparently, they said on Monday he had plenty to say about this online dust up. But yeah, so I don't even think I read y'all to with the whole situation, because y'all probably wonder what the whole context of the situation. So back in 2024, October 29th to be exact, Fantano posted a 9-minute video on his YouTube channel, The Needle Drop, critiquing Halsey's The Great Impersonator, which was inspired by her cancer battle. It was a rough review, and Fantano saying the tracks seemed like bad Halloween costumes, musically speaking, describing it as stale 2000s pop rock vibes that are the sort of songs you only remember for the association with various teen flicks throughout the 90s and 2000s. First of all, how dare you throw shade at 90s and 2000s teen flicks? A lot of those songs were the soundtrack to my childhood. So how dare you, into my teen years. Now, and basically accuse the album of exhibiting main character syndrome and ultimately giving it a 1 out of 10 grade. That sounds like some shit the Singaporean would do. You know, that one that's head stays up Taylor Swift ass, that wears all that damn grease on his lips. Now, here's what he said when they got in contact with him about the whole online dust up. He said, "We're talking about a 2-year-old review here where I've remained mostly silent on the reception of the review, despite the fact that Halsey and her fans for the duration of that time have pushed the narrative that I disliked the album, or said in my assessment of the album that there was a self-centeredness about it because she was sick." He offers to Variety that I specifically attacked this album and tore it apart because there's some cartoonishly evil characteristic about me that somehow just singled this album out because of who she is or the illness that she suffered during that time in her life and inspired the record, which couldn't be further from the truth. Now, according to Fantano, his assessment to The Great Impersonator had nothing to do with the real life pain and suffering Halsey endured, but everything to do with how bad I feel her various takes on inspirations that she tries to pull from and impersonate are, and how weak the songwriting is. So he's saying that, like, if you're calling your album the Great Impersonator and you're trying to take on these different personas, that I guess to him, even though she's talking about her cancer battle and all these other things, he doesn't feel like she's coming from an authentic place when she's talking about the things that's going on in her personal life. But I guess that's what he was pulling from it. He also wants everybody to know that despite what Halsey fans may think of him, he is not the devil. He says, "You don't have to agree with me, but one thing I can stand by and allow to happen is this performative act where people want to act like I'm Satan incarnate for not liking this album, which I'm not. I'm not the devil himself for not enjoying this album. On top of that, it has nothing to do with Halsey being a woman. There are countless women whose projects I've championed over the years. I have no problem with enjoying and supporting the work of women, especially women who address serious issues in their work." Now, Fantano proceeded to describe to me how he withstood waves of harassment from Aiden Ross's edgelord fandom for standing up for Doshi in light of his misogynistic attacks on her. Well, Aiden Ross also hangs out with people like Drake and freaking that ugly ass fat chipmunk, academics, the one who looked like his mouth and his ass stink. So he definitely gives edgelord fandom. And he also said that he had to deal with the backlash from Tory Lanez fans because he stood up for Megan Thee Stallion after he pow-powed her in the foot like she was Della Reese in Harlem Nights. Now, as far as Halsey's comment that Fantano was raised by 4chan edgelord bully culture, she may be referencing to an article in referring, sorry, to an article in the Fader from 2017 that has since been taken down about Fantano's since deleted YouTube account. That is the plan, wherein he posts videos like Pepe the Frog triggers Hillary Clinton and I changed my gender because Donald Trump. Now, Fantano insists he's not a professional edgelord, but a leftist who supports Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani and was calling Israel's attack on Palestinians, a genocide before even Bernie was. He said, I don't think I'm singularly alone in having found some early 2010s internet edgy humor funny or in a satirical way, reviewing some memes on the internet as a joke. I've never said anything as edgy as an accidental 9/11 joke at Pitchfork's expense, which Halsey very notably did. Yes, after Pitchfork gave Halsey's 2020 album Manic a 6.5 out of 10, the singer tweeted, can the basement that they run Pitchfork out of just collapse already? Apparently, Halsey was not aware that Pitchfork operated out of One World Trade Center in New York City, the very building that was meant to replace the Twin Towers after 9/11. When people began pointing that out to her, she deleted the tweet and wrote that it was clearly a misunderstanding. No, you were just trying to make a little joke and you ain't realized that where they built their headquarters was out of, and then you had egg on your face and you deleted it. But also, you know what? I'm not gonna go. I said what I said about Fantano. Look, at the end of the day, critics are like assholes, as they say. Everybody's got one. So he's got an opinion, and you didn't like the opinion. Move on from it. Everybody's not gonna like your music. Just like, everybody's not always gonna sit around, kiss your ass, and blow smoke up it and tell you how great your music is. There's some people out here that just not gonna like what you're putting out there, and that's perfectly okay. But now I'm starting to side argue Halsey, because why is it that Fantano says something, you got mad, and then Pitchfork says something, and you get mad with them too? So you just gonna get mad every time somebody don't like your music? It's perfect. Like I said before, it's perfectly okay if people don't like your stuff. Is that supposed to make the world stop on its axis because somebody doesn't like your things? There's things people don't like what I do either. You think that's going to stop me from doing what I'm doing? Hell no. I'm going to still run my goddamn mouth. So I don't understand why these celebrities, and I get it, you're an artist and you're sensitive about your shit, like Erykah Badu always says. But you can't let that get to you, meaning put it out there in public. Be mad in private. Water off a duck's back. But don't let them see you sweat, because the minute you start putting that stuff out on social media, then people feel like they know what your Achilles heel is, and they're going to keep picking at it because now they got you. So let these critics say what the hell they want to say. Anthony Fantano was not the overlord of all things pop culture and music criticdom. So he has an opinion. Is that going to stop you from still making the music you make? Your fans like your stuff. And that's all that matters. Now, they also want to say, in Halsey's defense, Fantano is an internet provocateur whose initial tweet that people were more into the review than the album appeared to set the musician off, and his reviews could come off as patronizing. Yeah, that is definitely true. But Fantano feels that Halsey is dead wrong when it comes to his own legacy. He said, I don't have to prove my track record of Halsey. I've been the most relevant and impactful music critic of my and any generation for over 10 years now. You can't really debate that. There's no music critic bigger than me who's had more impact than me for as long as I have. Okay, sir, you tune your horn a little hard up in this damn post. But then again, I always say, if you don't toot your own horn, who will, right? And if I die tomorrow, nobody's going to outdo that run. Well, I will say this. Say what you want about Fantano, but he definitely is impactful. I mean, people definitely watch his stuff. People definitely are taken aback by his stuff. And if he wasn't moving the needle and he wasn't getting y'all riled up, this wouldn't even be a story. And Variety wouldn't even reached out to him to get a quote in regards to this whole situation. So, like I said, if he really wasn't moving the needle, if people really wasn't affected by the stuff he says, we wouldn't even be talking about it. So, I say all this to say What do you guys think of this story in regards of Halsey and Fantano and everything that went along with what I had to say? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. No shade, but Jenna literally started talking too much. You know what's another thing too that I noticed about her that turned me off? She smoked cigarettes. I was watching something where she was out with her boyfriend who they said is a Nazi, allegedly. I did chain smoke. I'm like, ugh, girl, don't come around me with that breath. To be honest, Halsey ain't had a good song since when Sis showed her titty on the cover and even did an Aaliyah like cover. Look at a mess. And that's why and look, maybe that's what it is. It's like you trying to be controversial and all these other things, but girl, your music really ain't hitting quiet as it's kept. Because to be honest, while we talking about this, I couldn't name not one goddamn Halsey song. So maybe Fantano was on to something. Fantano has a valid point when he said his review is discussed more than the actual. And, I mean, it was because clearly everybody was triggered by it. Yes, his criticism of the album wasn't entirely justified given what we know, but Halsey also struggles taking constructive criticism. Exactly, which is what I took from that. Before I even read your comments, taking constructive criticism, which is odd considering she's been in the industry for more than a decade and still gets butthurt about low rating score on an album. Look, her and Lizzo need to learn from it because they both out here whining. I don't know why my music flopping. Well, bitch, I'm gonna tell you when we get to that thing. Tyra Boy, yeah, learn from this. I wish music critics just focus on the music as a whole instead of trying to pick all these little things. Honey, that's what he did. He only talked about the album itself, never mentioned her biz. I mean, wasn't that what it was? That he shot her in the foot like Della Reese in Harlem Nights? Well, it was her pinky toe, if you want to be specific. He said, remember when music critics actually influenced culture? Yeah, that was a long time ago. But now the new critics that are, I guess, I mean, aren't they still kind of influencing culture? Which would be like YouTubers, YouTube critics. I mean, there's a couple of them out there. Halsey was also defending Sydney Sweeney from My Jeans Are Blue because they both had a movie coming out that no one watched. For sure, let's act like we're suddenly fans of Halsey just to take our anger out on Fantano for whatever album he reviewed negatively. And you bringing up shit that happened 2 years ago. Girl, everybody done moved on from that record. You know how many albums came out since then? Yeah, that was another thing too, because I forgot about the whole defending Sydney Sweeney thing because you can't defend her and them sagging titties. Like you said, maybe Halsey hates men in general, but women were fired from the reviews because they reviewed men badly. Not understanding what that means. He said Fantano says Slater fans never went after me, but he won't. Well, probably because Slater fans don't give a fuck what he had to say. We still bumping that album. I was listening to it earlier on my way home from work. So, you know, so he said what he said. That ain't gonna stop us from listening to World's Girl in America. Because his review of it was the worst review in America. I've said half of the artists are meant to be songwriters, not artists. I got attacked, but most of these singers said the industry wanted me to be a songwriter, but I wanted to sing. Yeah, that was always what I thought about BB Rexa. She's a good songwriter. She got great songs, but she don't have nothing. And that's why her career stalled. Is because, or she never really broke out until she went independent. Now the album is doing really well, but there was nothing really special about her. Like when you look at all these other girls, there was nothing about her that really stood out. Like you can't. A lot of your music came across as session music tease. Like that's what it was given. There was nothing really special about her. I mean, to be honest, I still don't see anything special about her. But I am enjoying those songs of that new album. But as far as like a pop act or someone who's like an individual that stands out, like when you look at Charlie XCX, there's something unique about her. So she stands out. But I'm looking at BB. She just like just some random girl that sing. That's what again. There's a lot of these girls out here. Even Zara Larson, no shade. I mean, yeah, she a cute little Swedish pop star, but there ain't nothing special about her either. The damn camera keep moving. I don't know why. Anyway, now speaking of somebody who actually does stand out and got a bit of a personality that goes with her music, let's talk about Olivia Rodrigo. So her Daisy Chain Fields Festival, we got a little inside tea behind what inspired it. But I will also say this: congratulations to her because she sold that tour out in 30 minutes. And shout out to all the people that's going to be doing it because they're doing it for free. So yay for charity. And it just shows see it just goes to show how powerful and how influential this young lady is. So Rodrigo's Daisy Chains Fields may turn into a sobbing fest in August if she performs Landslide with Stevie Nicks. The superstar teased as much during an interview on Good Morning America with Diane Sawyer, who said that seeing the two artists perform the song would be a dream. Well, that just might happen. We might make that happen for you, Diane, Rodrigo responded. We'll see. Can't give too much away. Now, it will be a once in a lifetime moment to see the rock legend sing about getting older alongside one of the most promising artists of the new generation. In our October 2023, sorry, Rolling Stone cover story, Rodrigo shared that she thought about Landslide in the past. She was asked if she imagined playing breakout hit Driver's License decades into her career. She said, I was thinking about that the other day. I saw Stevie Nicks singing Landslide in this huge stadium of people. Not that Driver's License is Landslide by any means, she said, adding, but I was like, damn, the heartbreak that you feel when you're young, thinking about singing that song when I'm Stevie Nicks' age, it's really powerful. Now, during her GMA appearance, Rodrigo shared more details about Daisy Chain Fields and how it's Lilith Fair for the new age, which before I even knew how to what this was, whatever, I said that. I'm like, this is definitely like giving what Lilith Fair was back in the day. And when you look at Lilith Fair, we had like a lot of female acts. Of course, it was Sarah McLachlan. You had Fiona Apple and Alanis Morissette and so many other girls, and Liz Fair and a lot of those type of girls. But I believe you also had a mixture. Wait, let me look it up and see who performed. Because I believe it was an eclectic group. Because they said, yeah, it was women-led bands across diverse genres, including folk, pop, hip hop, and rock. So we had Fiona Apple, Tracy Bonham. Who's that? Meredith Brooks. Oh, I know who Meredith Brooks is. I'm a bitch. I'm a lover. You know that song. The one that a certain girl that we about to talk about, Miss Lizzo, decided to interpret that for one of her songs that flopped of that new album. The Cardigans. Oh my God, whatever happened to the Cardigans? I mean, yeah, they had that Loveful song, but you want to know something about the Cardigans? I mean, am I the only one that like when the Cardigans went more electronic, when they went more trip hop, like they did with oh my God, what's the name of that album? I can't remember the name of it, but it was My Great Escape, and then it was Erase Rewind. That record, I used to wear that fucking album out when that came out. Sean Colvin, oh my God, I haven't heard that name in a month of Sundays. Cheryl Crow, Indigo Girls, they had all of them. I even think Queen Latifah did it. And they also said Missy Elliott performed, Jewel. Wait, let me look up. I don't know why I can't remember the name of their Gran Turismo. That was the name of that record. Child, I wore that record out back in the day. That was like the only Cardigans album that I listened to because they went a little more electronic. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. If y'all have a chance, definitely check that record out. If y'all want to hear like something that's got a little bit of that rock and electronic and all these different weird experimental sounds and stuff up in there. So where was I? Okay, so now she told about the inspiration for this being the Lilith Fair of the new age. She said, Lilith Fair was a huge inspiration for me starting this festival. The first person that I called when I decided I wanted to do this festival was Sarah McLachlan. She's a total trailblazer and an incredible artist and a friend. The festival is set for August 29th in Irvine, California. It will feature an all-star all-woman lineup, just like its 90s inspiration. So Bikini Kill, Chaperone, Doshi, Garbage, Die Spits, Eli, Cat's Eye, Mitski, Not for Radio, Quiet Night, Quiet Light, Rachel, Chino Riri, Santi Gold, and the Breeders. Oh, thank God she didn't pick MIA. Are all part of the bill, while Nyx, Karen O, and McLaughlin are listed as special guests. And she said, I'm so excited about the lineup. Net proceeds for the festival will be donated to women and girls focused nonprofit organizations, and all the incredible artists who run the bill are doing it for free for charity, saying that the fact is a real testament to their hearts as well as their talent. So hopefully this turns out to be a thing. Maybe it could be, if it's successful, maybe it could be an annual thing. I think that'd be pretty cool if they could do that. But it also goes to show that, child, I said Taylor Swift would never. But we know she gives money out to all the people that work in her crew. But I like the fact that we have someone very young like Olivia, who is the next in line to kind of steer a new generation of young girls and have them by a chokehold. She's like, could we consider her my generation's Alanis Morissette? Because Alanis had the girls in a chokehold at one point too. And I'm not saying that Olivia's not going to have a long-standing career, but I could definitely see, like, she is definitely one of the most influential young girls out here, and has got a lot of this newer generation in the chokehold, and is definitely influential, and has got them pretty much like coming up with all of this and taking a lot of what happened in the past and making it her own and bringing it to a new generation. I like when artists take the time to do that. So shout out to you, Olivia. And I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the festival? Did you are you actually going? You have tickets and all that good stuff. So let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. No one checking for Zara Larson until she hit that high note on Midnight Sun and started wearing bright colors. BB slammed Diane Warren. One guy said Diane Warren penned half of the biggest hits of the 90s, and she's unfortunately sidelined because every artist wants to be a songwriter instead of allowing Diane to talk to you and make an album around your conversations. Kirk Hammett and Metallica wore a t-shirt that said Taylor Swift is a CIA psyop. Then the next Metallica show, he fell off the stage and broke his leg and back. A coincidence? Child, that's some voodoo. What kind of evil spiritual shit she be doing in the basement of her mansion? I remember the video for my favorite game with her driving around with the stuffed Felix the cat in the car. He said the Cardigans retired or just vanished from the industry. I haven't listened to Gran Turismo, but I love First Man on the Moon and Life. Go ahead and Step on Me is better than Loveful. Well, Loveful was like their biggest hit. And I have to be honest, I wasn't really a big fan of that song. Oh. Olivia and Billy are two Gen Z acts still lasting longer than a blip in time. Sabrina and Chapel. Let's see if they'll still be at the position they're currently in 5 years. Not Dula Peep getting astray. Look, she's married now. That's what she's focusing on. All right now. So let's talk about this story. Let's talk about Max Martin. So Max Martin, super producer, who's been around making a lot of hits for everybody in the business, from Pink, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, you name him, he's worked with them. Even Madonna. Speaking of which, I really wish that somebody would have asked, or maybe people forgot about it, which songs on the album, which songs that you worked on with Max Martin made it on this new album. I wish somebody would ask her that. But I digress. So Max Martin and Shellback revealed that they're selling their catalog, and I'm gagging because I would never think that this is something that they would do. So Max Martin and Shellback's Wolf Cousins, a songwriting collective the two producers founded, I think Tove Lo was a part of Wolf Cousins at one point, have entered a partnership with investment firm HarbourView Equity Partners. The deal includes HarbourView acquiring a selection of compositions by Wolf Cousins. The songs include hits by Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, The Weeknd, and other artists. The acquisition price reportedly ranges in a low nine figures, according to Variety sources, although this was not confirmed by HarbourView. The investment firm told the outlet it does not disclose items for its deals. At HarbourView, we invest in culturally relevant intellectual property and the visionary creators behind it, said Sharice Clark, founder and CEO of HarbourView Equity Partners, via Variety. Max Martin and Shellback continue to hold their place as hitmakers in contemporary music, and through Wolf Cousins, they have built an extraordinary creative ecosystem spanning generations and genres. We are proud to partner with them and help steward the legacy of this remarkable catalog. Now, Wolf Cousins was founded to bring songwriters and producers together in an environment built on collaboration, mentorship, and creative development. Shellback and Martin said in a statement, HarbourView's long-term vision and respect for creators make them a natural partner for this body of work. So I'm assuming based off of this, that they want to keep this going. And I do like this idea of like having a thing where songwriters and producers kind of come together, and it's, people who, if you're not someone who knows the idea behind writing and writing camps and all the other stuff, that you kind of come in, they show you the ropes, and then y'all just bounce ideas off each other. It's a creative process. And I like that whole idea because I've always been for the art of collaboration. Nobody makes things on their own, although there's some people that claim like they do. But I like the idea of collaboration. That I could be in a room with people and it's like, what ideas do you have now? And I'm bouncing off those like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. But what if we did this? And what if we added this? Oh no, I don't like that idea, but I like this one. So it's always a collaborative effort when it comes to ideas, lyrics, a line you may have heard somewhere that's like, I want to make a song around this line that I heard that I think this would be a good line to put in this song or whatever the case. So I've always been fascinated by that type of creative process, and it seemed like that's what this basically is. Now, in addition to Martin and Shellback, the Wolf Cousins Collective included songwriters and producers such as Ilya Salmanzadeh, I think is how you say it, Salmanzadeh, Oscar Holter, as I said before, Tove Lo, Ludwig Soderberg, Jacob Jostrom, Oscar Gores, there's a lot of Swedes up in here, Ali Payami, Robin Fredrickson, and Matthias Larson. Yeah, there's a lot of Swedes up in here because of the names. Now, among the songs acquired in the HarbourView / Wolf Cousins partnership are Taylor Swift's Style and Ready for It, Ariana Grande's Problem, Into You, and No Tears Left to Cry, The Weeknd's Can't Feel My Face, Imagine Dragons' Believer, Ellie Goulding's Love Me Like You Do, Tove Lo's Habits Stay High, and DNCE's Cake by the Ocean. Wasn't that the group that one of the Jonas Brothers was in? He should have kept that. I mean, kept going with that, but Cake by the Ocean was like the only hit, quiet as it's kept. Now, the acquisition is one of the many high-profile music catalog gets for HarbourView since it formed in 2021. Among them are catalog deals with the Quincy Jones Estate, Slipknot, Kelly Clarkson, and Christine McVie's Estate, and Pat Benatar, among others. It has acquired more than 70 music catalogs a day. It's a lot of damn catalogs y'all acquiring. But it sounds interesting. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing. I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like a negative. But look, this reminds me of something that I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, coworker earlier, because he said in 2 years, him and his wife are moving to Maryland, where they're actually building a house out there. And I think he's going to be taking some time, and it coincided with the week that he's going to be going out there, that they manage the people, I guess, is going to help with the building of the house, the meetings and how things are going to look and where he wants things to go and all that's going to pan out. So it so happens that's going to be panning out within that week. So that's great. And it just reminds me of this situation. Like he's saying, you know what, when I die, what am I going to do with all this money? I can't go with me. I can't die with it. So why hoard? Then this is what I don't understand about these wealthy people either. Like Elon Musk, the fuck you going to do being a trillionaire? When you dead, what is going to happen with the trillions? Y'all just want to run around with this title of saying you got all this money because you feel like money makes you feel good about you, but there's still a hole in your soul that can't be filled. What was that line that Marilyn Manson said? You got a hole in your soul that you fill with dope and you're feeling fine. That's what it's giving. So yeah. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story in regards to Max Martin and Shellback being the latest to sell their catalog of songs that they worked on with Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande and The Weeknd and so many others? You think it's a good idea, not a good idea, or is it just like, oh, you know, well, it's a deal? I mean, at the end of the day, like I say, you have all this money that you've acquired and you accumulated from creating so much with so many people and creating so many hits for so many, so many great songs from so many great artists and for so many great artists and so many of our listening ears, that it's like, okay, so I'm selling stuff and it'll go off and it'll make money beyond us being alive. And I can't take the money with me when I'm dead. So I got to do something with all this stuff I got going on. So whatever your thoughts are on this matter, let me know in the comments down below. Capital was genius. They never issued the singles from Romeo and Juliet. Garbage. The Moan is Madonna. Loveful and Desiree all radio forced us to buy that soundtrack. That was when I was going to Berkeley at the time, for music school or whatever. When I was for music, I was going to Berkeley at the time. And during that year, oh my God, I remember. It's funny how it just took me back there when you were talking about this. It took me back to that Romeo and Juliet soundtrack. I wore that shit out too. Number One Crush by Garbage. Loverfest was still going to be a Taylor Swift tour, just with a big emphasis on the opening acts, thus making it Lover and Friends. So it was going to be a Taylor Swift tour and not a festival. So, like I said before, nobody, Taylor Swift could never, because Olivia Rodrigo is doing the female festival thing. Tove Lu says she brought her publishing from Wolf Cousins. They gave us a few months to buy our publishing before the sale. She was the only one that did it, but she said I wasn't going to allow my catalog to make money from someone else. Well, you know what? It was smart on her part. That she's like, you know what? I'm gonna buy my catalog back and make money off my own stuff because she's independent now. So why not, right? And with her with all that songwriting, I'm sure she's made a ton of money writing not only from what she accumulated from her own stuff, but for other people. Joe Jonas was in that band. DNCE. I honestly love Swedes. They are the disciples of pop music, and they've got a great ear for music. I kind of wish when I was younger, if I would have known about it, if there was any kind of a musical mentorship where I could have went and been a part of this whole thing. If I was aware of it, oh, trust and believe, I would have went for going to Sweden and working with Max Martin and them and going to the whole songwriting camp. Did he? The shares in SpaceX tumbled, but of course it did. Everything that man touches turns to poo, just like the president. So SpaceX, he just throws money at things, but this is all just like fucking, what do you call it? Vanity projects. It was supposed to be a festival, but still a tour, and Olivia is doing a separate tour for her new album. So your point stands on how Taylor Swift would exactly. So your point stands on how Taylor Swift would never. I could never see Taylor Swift trying to do a tour. I mean, not a tour. That's not what I meant. A festival, something or another. Anyway, oh wait, oh yeah, I got that out. Okay, so let's get into some musical nerdy stuff because I thought this was fascinating when I came across this article. So let's talk about Nile Rodgers. So Nile Rodgers, as y'all know, was like a legendary music producer. He was a part, he founded Chic. Many great disco songs and stuff back in the day. He also worked with a lot of artists such as like Frank Sinatra and who else? David Bowie, Madonna, and a bunch of others. And so he did a recent interview what was it? It said that with Variety's Jem Aswad for New York Music Month, and it was presented by Variety and Berkeley. And it's funny how I mentioned Berkeley NYC School of Music. Berkeley NYC School of Music, but in the previous art story we did at his longtime home base, New York's Power Station Studios. Rodgers spoke about most of the of some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, like um working with David Bowie, Madonna, Daft Punk, Diana Ross, and many others. And he is someone who is one of perceived as one of the greatest producers and guitarists of the last 50 years, and a legendary songwriter. So he's not only a member of the Songwriters Hall of Fame, he's also been its chairman for 8 years. He's also a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the musical excellence category. So, in the excerpts that I managed to pull from the article, let's get into some of them. And also, you can watch the full interview and stuff. It's over on YouTube if you guys want to see that. But he talked about how when he first met Bowie, he said, "Oh, David Bowie." For those of you who don't, if you're nasty, if you don't know who I'm talking about, Bowie, David Bowie, obviously. So he said, when Bowie and I first met, excuse me, it was totally by accident. I was going to his new nightclub called the Continental, or this new nightclub. And as I was walking in, I saw my good friend Billy Idol walking in too. Stands up. I have to act this out because otherwise you won't get it. So we both noticed this guy at the back of the room by himself, and Billy goes, thick British accent, bloody hell, that's David fucking Bowie. He pronounces it like Bowie because that's how they say his name in England, and then he barfs. So I didn't barf, right? So I go to Bowie first. I'm over there talking to David, and Billy walks over and does this number. He mimes wiping vomit from his sleeve, then extends hand. And David shakes his hand. I was like, "You are the coolest fucking guy in the world." So I don't know what Billy Idol's problem was, but apparently he didn't like him. Now also gets into when he started to work with the one and only, and he worked with and walked out on Madonna, and said, Madonna was heaven to me. I've never worked with an artist who worked that hard in my life. And she didn't even really have to work that hard. We had only met once, just like with Bowie, and just from that one meeting, she decided this guy is going to make my record. She came to my apartment and played all these demos and said, Nile, if you don't love all these songs, we can't work together. I listened to all the songs and I said, well, Madonna, I don't love all these songs, but when I finish with them, I will. So I guess I didn't say the wrong thing because I didn't get fired. She was great. The only negative thing I would say about Madonna, because I did quit the record, but I'll show you how quickly I was rehired. Every time an assistant would have to go to the bathroom, she wanted to make sure she was the boss. Time is money and money is mine, she'd say. And she said, we'll make sure he asks me before he goes. Well, make sure he asks me before he goes. Madonna, the guy, has to go to the bathroom. Finally, she was mistreating the guy so much that I got really upset and just said, forget it. I can't work with you anymore. I was walking out of the studio and she comes to the door and goes, Nile, you think I'm sexy? Yeah, Madonna, you're one of the sexiest people I've ever met. Well, why do you want to fuck me? And he says, because I'm your producer. Then she comes with a brilliant answer. Well, that didn't stop the rest of them. I mean, I thought I'd be making Madonna records for the rest of my life. I'd only made one, but our relationship has always been fantastic. A couple of years ago, she celebrated her birthday. I built a little roller skating rink in Central Park and we skated together. We had so much fun. She said, you just got me out here because you want to see me fall on my ass. I said, no, Madonna, all the other skaters work for me. So if you fall on your ass, we all gonna fall on our asses. So there was that story. Then he also talked about his brief cameo with Frank Sinatra. Said, when I was a kid, I used to work at an airport in LA, Van Nuys Airport, where many private planes embarked. And I used to see Frank Sinatra. He used to say to me, hey, kid, why do you think they call it show business? I don't know, Mr. Sinatra. Why do they call it show business? Because you got to put on a show to do the business. So, as we said, but if you guys want to check it out, check out Nile Rodgers at Power Station with Jim Aswad. It is on YouTube if you want to get some great stories. But I always find that fascinating when a lot of the older generation, the veterans, come around and they tell little tales about things that they've encountered in celebrities. Child, I've always thought that maybe one day I would do the same thing. I don't know if I would do it in a book or if it's like I do a sit down and we do like a one-on-one and you ask me questions and I just hit there with the microphone and I just talk. Those seem to be always more fun than having to write a book or whatever the case is. But I always like stuff like this. I always find it fascinating. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story that I just told y'all about David Bowie and Billie Idol being a hater and Madonna being a nuisance? I mean, we knew she was a terror in the studio, but it's like I hope she's not. I don't think she's like that now. Hopefully, she's mellowed. I mean, that's what she's presenting us. But you know, a lot of people can put on a show because, like I said, you got to put on a show to do the business. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I was like, what I had? Oh, now it's kind of messy revealing this during Madonna's press run for Confessions too. But any press is good press, as they say. I believe it. Funny enough, I wasn't even thinking about that. He said the nerd in me wants to ask you a bunch of questions about your days in Berkeley, but I'll wait until your memoir comes out. Come on, memoir. All right, so okay, so now let's get into this lady. Let's talk about Lizzo. So, as I'm sure y'all probably already heard, Lizzo's latest album, bitch. We talked about it the other day. It flopped. It didn't do all that well. I don't even know if we mentioned how bad the like how many it sold. I don't think we talked about that. If we did, child, I forgot. You know, I talk about a lot of stuff on here and I can't keep up. So Rolling Stone did a whole breakdown of the whole situation. Like, so what happened? What happened, Lizzo? Why your album is out here flopping? I mean, she was running around here, seemed like blaming everybody, blaming the algorithm, blaming her label, blaming everybody for the reason why this album flopped. And sis, I'm sorry, but the real reason why this album flopped, I feel like because you've been twerking on the fence in regards of like, who is these records for? You've been trying to play up the whole pop star thing, but you try to play it in the middle. It's like, did you try to cater your music to a specific audience? Like black people? Black people don't feel like you black enough to be making the music you making. And then white people kind of just like, okay, this shit is disposable. Then of course you got your hardcore fans. And you was out here blaming the algorithm and this, that, and the other. But sis, you are also a major label artist, a major label artist with multiple Grammy wins. You should have been out here instead of blaming the record label, which no shade, a record label is basically your bank. They're bankrolling your album. They're putting money, they're funneling money into you to be in the studio to making a record, and they want a return on the investment. Hence why your tour and all the other stuff that y'all end up doing. But I don't understand is like, why wasn't she out here heavily promoting it instead of just ranting and raving about everything that was going wrong with this record? Because if my record label is not going to be supporting me, trust and believe, I will be finding ways to get up out there and being like, doing meet and greets, doing pop-up performances, doing something to push this music down people's throat. Even the most mediocre of songs that we've been hearing, we've heard plenty, they always find a way to break through. So you have to be willing to do the work. And to me, it just seemed like Lizzo got more comfortable getting online and complaining about why things weren't going in her favor instead of getting out here and actually pounding the pavement and doing the work. So that's what a lot of you artists are going to have to start doing. Gone are the days when you have to rely on the record label to push your shit, to shove your shit down people's throat. Y'all got to get out here and start doing that blue collar side. Y'all got to get out here and pound the pavement. You got to get out here and remind people, y'all got an album coming out. You see Cardi B was out there doing that. She found a way to get people interested in her new album after she made us wait damn near 10 years for a sophomore record. She got out there and was pretending like she was them people on the corner in Harlem. Had the CDs and the vinyl, everything on a blanket. Got people interested in wanting to check out the stuff. That was a good way to do promo. But anyway, so Rolling Stone did this lengthy little breakdown. So let's break down what they had to say. So they said there's no denying that Lizzo is a singular artist. After exploding on the scene in 2019, damn, it's only been She's been out less than 10 years. She went on to land a string of hits with the ubiquitous Juice, About Damn Time, and Good as Hell, picking up Grammys and other accolades along the way. Not a traditional pop singer, she infused her music with funky horns, hip hop grooves, and even the flute. She over-indexed for bops, but where there's a Lizzo sound depends on the track. Lizzo first began chipping away at her fifth studio album, Bitch, around 4 years ago. The album underwent a number of transformations during that time. It was initially meant to be titled Love in Real Life, supported by a single of the same name and the disco pop track Still Bad, both of which arrived last year. While Lizzo was still making up her mind about what she wanted her next album cycle to embody, it seems the broader pop audience already made up its mind about her. Bitch arrived on June 5th via Atlantic Records. Within its first week, the album sold 2,649 copies and racked up just under 2.7 million on-demand streams, according to music data company Luminate. In its second week, sales dropped to 650 units, goddamn, while streams dipped to just under 900,000. It's a steep drop from her previous album, 2022 Special, which debuted with 39,000 copies sold and 69,000 equivalent album units earned. Enough for a number 2 debut on the Billboard 200. Bitch somehow managed to evade the chart entirely. Time is of the essence for most pop artists, and yet her brief absence doesn't entirely explain such an abrupt fall. So what does? Saying, quote, I think the biggest reason is that she never had a core fan base. Where have I heard that before? I think I've said that many a times when I broke this down. But this is what one former senior label exec, who requested, of course, they always request anonymity, tells Rolling Stone. She was a very song-driven, radio hits-driven artist who lacked a core fan base, and that's what you need today for career longevity. Lizzo considered this perspective herself. Earlier this month, she credited perceived changes in the primary consumption model of music for limiting her audience. The industry changed so much in the last 3 years. Streaming replaced radio, and I was radio darling. That's how my fans discovered my music. Yeah, you were making bop specifically for the radio. Some people say you make music to be playing in the elevator or at Target, but to be honest, you do have to set a core fan base, because that core fan base will obviously be there for you, down the line. And that's why when you look at a couple of these artists out here, where it's like, when their music is not really selling to a bigger audience, they focus mostly on their hardcore fan base. They perform for those people, and then those are the ones that hold them down for a long period of time. I feel like Lizzo was in the same boat as I've said Meghan Trainor. They've never really set a precedent for who do you make your music for? Yeah, you're making a couple of songs and it's something that you could bop your head to. Like Good as Hell, come on, of course, we're going to sing along with it. That song, I'm 100% that bitch or whatever, people going to sing along to that. Like, she has some catchy songs, About Damn Time. Like, we all going to sing them songs. But it just feels very much like a jingle. Like you're making a jingle for a commercial or something. That's what it gives. And you're not that girl that is just like, well, at this point, the way we're looking at it, since we're talking about core fan base, you're not that girl that people wholeheartedly want to focus on and like, oh, I can't wait to listen to that Lizzo album. But if your song happen to come on, we'll hear it, we'll hum along to it, we move on to the next thing. But you're just not that regular girl that is like, child, if she would have started, now the question remains, do you think she would suffer from blue dot fever if she decided to set some tour dates? Or do you think she could sell out of Radio City? I don't know. I have a feeling she put out some tour dates and she might end up, she's going to have that Meghan Trainor syndrome. Well, I do think that she will suffer from blue dot fever. Now, a big part of her brand was being the underdog and being very self-confident. I am who I am. I support everyone. Body positivity. The former single label exec continued. And when you're called to task for the mistreatment of exactly what you held out as being your quote-unquote brand, then fans don't want to see you win anymore and they desert you. I think we also said that too. The whole situation about the fat shaming, the being inappropriate with her people that was on her team or whatever. What were they, like backup dancers or whatever the case was? So when you start going against the very thing that you built, self-empowerment, being all about, yeah, I love being big and all this other stuff. When you start going against the very thing that you created as your foundation, people will turn on you. And I think that's what happened with Megan Trainor too. Megan Trainor came out as a big girl, then all of a sudden she lost all that weight, and people turned their back on her. Maybe people don't. It's an exception for someone like an Adele, because remember Adele was a big girl too, and then lost all that weight. But Adele, the difference between her and them, Adele didn't make being fat her identity. She just so happened to be a big girl that had a beautiful voice, a powerful voice, and she was just getting out there singing her songs and letting her personality be present when she was on that stage, because she could talk your head off, but she also would deliver you them fabulous songs. These other two, and specifically Lizzo, y'all may be in big your whole situation, your whole focal point. Now, in the 3 years since between Special and Bitch, Lizzo began embracing herself for a sharp decline in public interest by creating music that existed on the outskirts of what audiences came to know her for. The 2025 mixtape, My Face Hurts from Smiling, sourced beats from longtime collaborator Ricky Reed and Zaytoven for her first venture into rap in a long while. Her debut album, 2013's Lizzo Bangers, emphasized her interest in hip hop as a performer, but most listeners who discovered her through Cuz I Love You in 2019 were unfamiliar with the project, which was removed from streaming services for a year while she campaigned for the 2020 Grammy Awards. They said this mixtape is like, I'm gonna just say it, I don't give a fuck, all right? I've been fat and I've been skinny, bitches still ain't fucking with me. This is what she told Rolling Stone last year. I don't think this I don't think that could ever be on a Lizzo song. I would have been so scared to put that in something like About Damn Time or Juice. Bitch, despite being created with Reed in tandem with My Face Still Hurts from Smiling, leans more pop and R&B with lyrics that may have been dulled down for palatability. And see, that's another problem too. She worries so much about what she thinks that her music should go for. Oh, I have to make music for this specific niche. Part of being an artist is showcasing a lot of who you are. And I think a lot of times when you're experimenting as an artist, maybe put all of that in your music. While you were making that palatable music for your fans, you should have probably, your debut album should have been a mixture of the stuff. So you're doing those palatable bops, but you're also doing the rap stuff. If you would have put that in there, I think that would have been an easier pill to swallow for the fans, rather than, because oh yeah, we were the hardcore lesbians know that this is what she do, but a lot of people are fair weather fans. A lot of people come on when the breakthrough happens, but they don't know the earlier stuff. So sometimes you got to look beyond the tiny demographic, that hardcore fan base that have been riding with you since the beginning. Because a lot of people just show up to what you have now versus what you came out with 10 years ago when you was getting your start. So maybe if she wasn't operating so much on fear and would have brought all that other stuff in and had that in the beginning, because it was like, yeah, a lot of people didn't like My Face Still Hurts from Smiling. I actually liked that mixtape, and I knew that she was doing rap stuff back in the day. But like I said, if only she would have just incorporated that into her breakout album, then I think that people, I mean, she was kind of doing rap and stuff in a lot of her, in a way, in a lot of her songs, but because it was rooted within the palatable songs. Like when you listen to About Damn Time, that's a rap song in so many ways. It's like sing rap, but it's like it's rapping going on up in there. But people look at things literally and don't really look at the nuances that come up in all of that. So they're not going to look at it from the way that I'm looking at, or I see music. But I see music in colors and things. Now, what else did they say? Okay, so then they said musically, I don't know what she's been doing. Another veteran music industry exec tells Rolling Stone. I assume she's not making the records like she used to that resonate the way that the other ones did, because they were very infectious and formatted doo-wop type pop records with sassy meme language in it. In a review of the album, Rolling Stone wrote, "Bitch is full of tired moves and cynical appeals to the streaming algorithm." So she was up in here running off the mouth about algorithms and this, that, the other, but she's trying to make algorithmic music. And It's backfiring. Like, you're trying to make music for the algo. The algorithm, has been stated, and you even said it yourself. It's a fickle thing. You can't really figure out how to beat the algorithm. Because just when you think you got it down, there's gonna be somebody up in there that's gonna move the needle and switch it up into something else. And then you're gonna spend more time trying to chase how to make the algorithm work in your favor than just making music for the sake of making music and hoping that the people who ride with you will just like what you put out there. Now, so far, neither radio nor streaming has latched onto any of the three singles from Bitch. Don't Make Me Love You arrived in March, followed by the title track Bitch, which interpolates 1997 Meredith Brooks' song of the same name in May, and Sexy Ladies, which was serviced as a single 1 week after the album's release. A collaboration with DC band UCB's Sexy Ladies is the most likely hit for the record. Crafted by the late producer Tay Keith, who died last week at the age of 29, the single is an ode to summer in the South with the potential for global reach. The thing is, reach comes at a cost. There was a time when labels paid top dollar to promote a song on radio, but all ensuring exposure, which would lead to other sources of revenue, be it album sales, concert tickets, or merch. Today, the cost of mass exposure is more affordable, but is it genuine when you're effectively spamming social media with fiend enthusiasm? This is where budgets come in, and today majors have to be realistic about their rosters, says the veteran music exec. They're going to phone it in and give her the rollout that feels like they're spending something, but it's super lackluster, probably not very champion, right? And if something goes, great, because that's what happened last time. Lizzo inked her deal with Atlantic Records in 2016, 3 years before Truth Hurts appeared in Netflix's Someone Great and struck viral gold on TikTok, which was only just truly emerging as a formidable force in the music industry after rebranding from Musically a year prior. Today, Truth Hurts has been streamed more than 1 billion times on Spotify, saying it was a fluke, her blowing up. The veteran music exec continued. Nobody went and put millions of dollars behind her. It's worth noting that the exec team, which signed Lizzo to Warner Music label, has changed. Atlantic is now headed by Elliot Grange, son of Universal Music head Sir Lucian Grange, a business competitor, par for the course in the nepo favoring music industry. Now, Lizzo made the most of the moment. She made her SNL debut in December 2019, and blah, 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 so on and so forth. So it goes on and on about all this other stuff. But then she also, as we know, she took the promo for Bitch in her own hands. But the way she was going about it just felt very much like she was defeated. She was complaining. And that may have turned a lot of people off. But they also went on to say it isn't uncommon for labels to look toward an existing fan base as a prerequisite for showing interest in an artist. It mitigates their risk and offers confidence in their investments. But without proof of potential streams and sales, they have to be willing to take the chance. Most aren't. They say it's very political and very much about where money is going. Everywhere it's like that. It's about money and power behind an artist. The veteran industry exec said that's why artists love Clive Davis and Jimmy Iovine, because they would take a Lizzo and they would lift her up if she was not doing so well. Well, that is true. Even though I just saw like Sabby Sabs decided, and that's one lady that will find a way to piss in your cereal. She just did a whole 1 hour video on Clive Davis being evil. But anyway, so they said during the same summer of Special, Sam Smith, who has a new album coming out, we're going to talk about him later on, scored one of their most enduring hits in years with Kim Petras on Unholy. This year, Zara Larsson achieved the breakthrough she's been working toward for an entire decade. Notably, and they always say it takes 10 years to be an overnight success, right? Notably aided by an unmistakable and vibrant visual aesthetic and hits with just enough charm to stick. When it comes to the nature of pop in 2026, it would be unwise to count out a comeback for almost any artist. I think there's always hope for every artist. A hit cures all, the veteran industry exec said, but it can take many years or it could never come. So where does Lizzo go from here? I don't think she's done at all. This is just a moment to remind her that she still has work to do. Well, hopefully she's understanding this and figuring things out and all this other stuff and has to realize, like, yes, as you're going to have to put in the work. Or maybe what it is that it's time for you to clean house and start bringing in new beat makers, new writers, and you need some inspiration because clearly what you're working with ain't working. But speaking of which, I just saw over on the neighborhood tour, and it was funny because I was trying to look and see if they had anything interesting over there that I could bring up. But I did come across this video of the neighborhood talk where Lizzo basically, I guess, the fans was talking about don't let the new album die. And after it came out that she sold only 2,600 copies. And she was like, I don't know what to do. So we're gonna play what she had to say because I'm sitting and wondering like if these people are giving all this advice and saying all this stuff. And there was another producer that I had saw that I believe that he said that he worked with Lizzo. I would have loved to have played y'all the clip. Unfortunately, there's a piece in the video which went complete. The audio just went out, and I believe this has happened before. It's like, well, y'all just purposely trying to mute something so we wouldn't hear it. But he was giving some constructive criticism that it's just like, you know what, maybe she needs to work with, she needs to kind of switch up what she's doing. But anyway, let's get into this clip and then we'll come back and talk. Please hold.
I promoted my album and people on the internet clown me for it, so I don't know what to do. I promoted my album super hard and people were calling me a desperate flop, so I don't know, guys. Okay, I promoted my album and people on the internet clown me for it, so I don't know what to do.
I wish I would just stop trying to talk about fucking Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj, her saying what she said about Nicki Minaj ain't got shit to do with this album not doing what needs to be done. Y'all need to go play in traffic or take a swim in that pond that got all that green shit in it down in DC. How about that? But in this whole situation, Lizzo, just go back to the drawing board. You need a new team of people around you that's not going to kiss your ass and tell you the truth. You need to work with some new writers, new producers. You need some new inspiration, and come harder. You need some bops. You need to remind you need to find that self-confidence back because you sound like I've been saying before. Even in this clip that I just played, you sound defeated. So, in the words of Aaliyah, if your first don't succeed, dust yourself off and try his friend. Oh, wait, no, she said try again. So get up off your butt, get out there, promote this music. Even if the music ain't all that great, get out there and promote this album, sing these songs, do some showcases, something. I don't know. You need to find a way to get up out here and get the music out there and perform instead of just sounding like you so damn defeated. Or maybe it's time to like, you know what, scrap this record. Go back to the drawing board, take some time away, and work on some new music. And maybe you'll find, and maybe that new music will bring you the confidence that you so desperately need. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you agree with the assessment that was brought up, courtesy of Rolling Stone, even some of the assessments that I brought up from before I even got into the article, and what Lizzo had to say when she said, look, at this point, she don't know what to do. She's been out there promoting the record, and y'all still didn't care. But I just feel like, girl, you really wasn't out here promoting the record. You were bitching about the record. I mean, I know the name of the album is Bitch, but you were straight up taking on the role and just being bitchy about this album as a whole, and you just came across like you knew it was going to flop. You were feeling, you came across defeated, and that energy projected through everybody, and people just didn't care except the hardcore fans. Because that second week, you see how we talk about how steep that it dropped off. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Charlie XCX hints she might be the opening act for Confessions 2 tour, saying, I need to be an opener for someone that I align with better that reputation toward taste. You want to know something? If that actually works out, Madonna does not do opening acts. But she might need one because this bitch like showing up late. So if Charlie XCX opens up for Madonna on her Confessions 2 tour, let me tell you something. I will be here for that because not only will we get she's gonna perform the new album anyway at a couple of dates, but her being a part of the whole Madonna tour, it will definitely introduce her to a whole new fan base. I had somebody who jumped in my comments when I had posted one of my Madonna videos, I think it was yesterday or whatever, and they were like, "Well, everything seems to be good because they were sitting together at the YSL." Well, they said a Confessions 2 promo thing in Paris. It was actually the YSL menswear show that they were at. Because Connor Story Fine Ass was there too. I'm like, oh, that boy is so damn cute. But anyway, so Connor Story was there. He was kikiing with the Queen. There was a lot of people in that row. They had Austin Butler, they had Rami Malek. Nobody was mentioning them. I think Kate Moss was there too. I wonder if she had the booger sugar in her purse. But you had Kate Moss was in front row. Debbie Mazur was there. Charlie XCX was there. So it was a lot of people in celebrity row over there at the YSL show. And to have her be a part of the Confessions 2 tour after she wraps up her own little tour, especially in the US, I think that would be a perfect thing. Because, yeah, it's been a long time since Madonna had an open. I think when was the last time Madonna had an open act on her show? Was it back in the day when she had the Beastie Boys open up for her? So that would be interesting. She's been around since 2014, but 2019 was her breakout year, and no one can make any of the songs before Truth Hurts. You say, so we have a new trend called Austin Bop. It has hands gestures of knife stabs and neck breaking. You're talking about Austin Metcalf, child. What is going on with y'all? So it said they got hand gestures for knife stabs. Y'all are so damn stupid. These people online are so crazy. It said for someone that likes to brag about her Grammy wins and #1 songs, 2.6 thousand. First week should make you want to quit or sell them damn Grammys. Like the label executive says, song-driven radio hit artists never last long. Absolutely. It's like when you set out to just make music specifically to hit on the radio, when you have to realize once you get to be a certain age, radio turns on you, especially if you're a woman. And number two, if you make stuff specifically because you're trying to pander specifically to radio or, like I said, algorithmic music, you're already setting yourself up for failure. So I just don't understand. So Lizzo, girl, you just need some people around you that's just going to really tell you the truth and steer your career in the right direction. Otherwise, you're going to end up, your career going to be in the same boat as Katy Perry. And I only thought about Katy Perry because you just mentioned her name. He said Katy Perry will be considered a song-driven radio hit artist. So would Ava Max, BB Rexa, Meghan Trainor. So basically, not the Kaya Asylum. Well, I guess we added her to that. Well, yeah, her fans were fat, but they all got on Ozempic. Okay. I wonder what Kenya Pleaser thinks about. Oh, because she impersonates her. That'd be a good question. Is that if she could only sell 2.6K worldwide, how is she gonna fill in a child? She ain't even gonna do an arena. She might as well do small venues, because that's what Lizzo gives. Lizzo do not give. She gonna sell out the Garden. She will sell out Hammerstein Ballroom. That's what she need to do. I don't even know if she can sell out Radio City. I did like the mixtape. I ain't gonna hold you on that. I did like the mixtape. And you said the Barbs will always find a way to piss you. That's what I said. They just all need to go play in traffic. I don't fuck with her on the Barbs, but that comment was a key. Get up on your good foot, Lizzo. Now she discussing Love Island. Well, look, that was funny. Get up on your good foot. Not to mention the money the label spent on the album needs to be recouped, so she has to go on tour. But if she only selling 3K, how's she gonna fill an arena? Yep, that's what we're saying. Like, if she might as well do small venues. Everybody is not meant to sell out an arena. I hate when people do that because y'all be setting these people up for failure. Lady Gaga Runway, 14 Madonna I Feel So Free on Billboard, greatest songs of 2026 so far. Madonna is ahead of Slater, Dance at 27. Olivia Rodrigo dropped Dead at 21. Well, I feel So Free is a good, well, we always talk about the bops and stuff on here. That is a good song. Robin Open for Madonna on the second, Sticky and Sweet. Okay. So I do think that it's time that we get, like, Madonna should do an opening act. I know she's one of those artists that feels like, oh, I'm just gonna be myself, but I do think that would be a great ticket. Madonna and Charlie XCX. She could bring out, well, Madonna I do feel like defies generations, but I do think if you put Charlie on the ticket, it'll definitely get young butts in seats. Because she threw in the Michael tribute during okay. And forced people that probably felt violated. Patty pop culture even said we're in a hard conservative time. When Lizzo happened, the shift politically, I have no idea when we're going to get out of, well, who knows? Probably once this shit is over with the maggots, we're just gonna have to get out the world's biggest broom and dustpan, because there's gonna be a lot of cleaning that the next administration is gonna have to do, or get in and clean up. Half my pop culture blog said we might never have a progressive liberal era in our lifetime because people were angry of how left we were going. I mean, progressive, I mean, look, we just had a whole blue tsunami with Zoran. So it's definitely coming. Anyway, child, let's get into this mess. Let's talk about Oprah. Saint Oprah. Let's talk about her. Because Saint Oprah out here showing her entire ass, because I honestly do not understand why the hell of all days she decided to bring up an old story about Whitney Houston falling off stage because she was hiding Cooter Brown years ago and nobody knew about it. So Oprah said she once helped cover up an onstage fall Whitney Houston suffered while performing on the Oprah Winfrey Show. So I have a clip because I want y'all to hear her talk about it. But of course, I'm going to say this. After Oprah went on this whole thing and said what she said, where was she at? Cannes Lions appearance. That's where she was, and then the festival chair was Phil Thomas. And so they were talking about philanthropy, legacy, and her improbable path from rural Mississippi to become one of the most powerful self-made figures in media. So she was there to talk about that, but of course decided I want to tell y'all a story that she should have took to her damn grave about Whitney Houston. But of course, I should say the Houston estate heard what Miss Thing said and said, Oprah full of shit. That's what they said. So we're gonna play this clip courtesy of the Neighborhood Talk, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk. Please hold.
And then I stopped the cameras and I went behind stage and I said, so tell me, what do you want? What do you want to happen here? And I'm going to tell you what I want to happen here. And that was one of the most powerful interviews. And you all know this is an amazing thing that happened. I had such trust from the Oprah show audience that Whitney did, I think it was her last show with us, and she had gone back on drugs. The first interview I did with her when we'd gone behind stage and I asked her about her attention, she was clean. But the day she came to my show then to perform in front of the audience, she was not. And she fell off of the stage. And I knew that if that story got out that she'd fallen off of the stage, that she would be destroyed by that. And so even though we did the whole, hey girl, how you doing, greeting thing. And then I stopped the cameras and I went behind stage and I.
Okay, so she basically just said, like, yeah, she fell, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So now, according to the Neighborhood Talk, because, they had this tea, and I want to get into, okay, so yeah, then that happened and all this other stuff. And then she has said that, and so even though the audience was there and the audience had Oh, wait, how the audience have cameras? Oh, they had snap cameras because, child, we didn't have phones back in the day when Whitney and them was like the cell phone stuff wasn't like how it is today. But anyway, so she said, even though the audience was there and the audience had cameras, I begged them not to put those pictures out because it would ruin her life. And they did not. That would not happen today. I can tell you that. Now, shortly after Winfrey's claims emerged, Houston's estate clapped back, telling TMZ Whitney absolutely fell off the stage, but it was during a sound check, and it was due to the darkness of the area and her unfamiliarity with the stage. She was absolutely not high. They acknowledged Houston's addiction struggles, adding, like many people, she faced personal battles, but it is inaccurate and unfair to attach that struggle to every performance of every chapter of her life. What the studio audience witnessed on stage was the result of discipline, talent, and commitment, not the assumptions others project. Whitney's humanity included triumphs and struggles, but on that day, she showed up as the professional and gifted artist she always worked to be. We owe her the dignity of telling the truth, not repeating myths. Now, the greatest love of all hitmaker passed away at 48 years old after she accidentally drowned in the bathtub in February of 2012. Excuse me. However, the effects of heart disease and booger sugar were also listed as underlying causes behind her cause of death. For many years, it was believed Houston started, well, child, we've been through this, but they said for many years, it is believed, I wouldn't say it's believed, child, it's a fact, started abusing substances during her relationship with Bobby Brown, whom she married from 1992 until she filed for divorce in 2006. Actually, that's not true. I should say this. Word on the curb was she was down with the drugs long before she met Bobby Brown. I feel like people blame Bobby Brown because he had this bad boy persona. And yeah, Bobby was into the drugs and stuff too, but he wasn't the one that put Whitney on. Everybody acts like poor Whitney. Whitney was this damsel in distress or such an angel. Girl, she was from New Jersey. You know how ratchet Whitney was? Yeah, she was pretty. Yeah, she had the model good looks and she had the voice of 1,000 angels. But Whitney can get gutter if she needed to. She's from Newark, New Jersey. So it was just Clive presented a certain image, as they often do with artists, where there's the you that you keep behind the scenes, whatever the case is. And when you get on stage, it's like what we're saying, what Frank Sinatra said to Nile Rodgers. Why do they call it show business, whatever? Because you have to put on a show in order to get the business. So you're putting on a show for the people. The minute you step outside your house, you're putting on a whole persona, and people believe that is really you. And I'm sure that there are some people that are genuinely authentic with, you know, a piece of that you see. But there is a whole facade and a whole performance that people put on when they're trying to put whatever it is out there. So who knows if Whitney was high? But this is Oprah saying this, and of course the estate is going to try to do whatever they can to protect Whitney's image. But on my assessment of it is, what was the point of you even revealing this? Like, I know we're supposed to be loving up on Oprah because she's an icon and she's done so much in the world, but I don't give a fuck if you got $1 billion in the bank or how much you've contributed to society. When you do dumbass shit, we got to call it out. I don't care what your financial or your age or whatever kind of bracket you in. This was unnecessary for her to even bring this up. Like, what is this supposed to do? Whitney ain't even here to defend herself. It's the same thing when I say when people bring up this stuff about Michael Jackson. The man's been dead almost 20 years. He's not here to defend himself. But people still talk about, oh, well, he touched me when I was 10. Well, he ain't here to touch your ass no more. And not that I believe that he touched people, because I don't. We're supposed to believe people, though, right? However, if people are not in the union to disclose whatever it is they need to disclose, it should just be dead and buried. You could have took this to your grave, Oprah, along with you, Scissor and Gail. You should have took that to your grave. Why bring it up, sis? There was no point in you bringing this mess up. So yeah, now according to the 2018 documentary Whitney, Houston's history with drugs began well before she became acquainted with the My Prerogative artists, because yeah, they tried to say that her own brothers, Michael and Gary, introduced her to drugs and even participated with doing the stuff with her. because they traveled with her and served as as her bodyguards, and they admitted to facilitating and participating in her drug use. They said if anything was going to be done, it was gonna be the one to show it. Wait, if anything was gonna be done, I was gonna be the one to show it to her. This is what Michael said in the film. A friend of the brothers, Keith Kelly, also confessed that he was the one who first gave Houston drugs, a bag of weed, and a snort of booger sugar on her 16th birthday. So Miss Thing been out here doing the drugs, allegedly, since she was 16. And someone within a friend of one of her brothers basically pushed that up on her, introduced her to it. They said there's an amusing but also kind of tragic moment where her brother Michael says, "We used to do rings around Bobby. He was not able to keep up with us. We lapped him in drug taking. He's a lightweight," the film's director Kevin McDonald told the Post at the time. That kind of vindicates Bobby. So people was out here trying to make it like, oh, Bobby was this big old drug. And I think people kind of looked at it because Bobby had like this persona, like I was talking about show business, performance. He had this overall bad boy persona. So yeah, oh, this man done took out poor Whitney and turned her out. Whitney was turned long before she met Bobby. Let's be clear. But that still don't negate the fact that, Oprah, you could have took this shit to your damn grave. But let me see what the people over the neighborhood talk was saying in the comments. 10 Magazine said people who were there are already confirming it happened. So while, of course, like they said that the estate is going to do what it does because they're the estate, obviously they're going to be Team Whitney. I don't believe that Oprah would have any reason to lie. However, like I said many a times over, you could have took this to your damn grave. You shouldn't even brought it up. We shouldn't even be speaking about this. And I'm sure those people that was there at the Oprah Winfrey show probably spoke to certain, like people amongst their own immediate family knew the tea, but it never made the news. They never put it out there in a story. Luckily, nobody in that audience was a blogger because, child, if I was over there at the Oprah Winfrey show and I would have witnessed that, I might have posted that story up on my website. Because look, you haven't made it until, and this happened. This has been happening. This actually happened to me recently. I got a cease and desist from the Michael Jackson estate. Child, I gagged. Not the Michael Jackson. Well, it was Taj Jackson. I did a story about Taj and no Michael thing, and they said that it was something I used that was copyright. I'm like, excuse you. So I deleted it because I'm like, I ain't paying y'all no damn money. Anyway, so I said, I guess I made it. So yeah, another person said, I hope they sue her because why did you get up there and tell that story? True or not, it's unbecoming. Well, according to people, they're saying that is true. Well, I'm sure there's many witnesses who could tell us what really happened. One person says, see topics like this, I understand. Monique more and more. But people always find a way to bring Monique in the thing because they feel like Whitney. Oprah has a habit of doing some real slick shit to her own damn people. You will defend a Harvey Weinstein and a bunch of your other troubling ass friends that you've been acquaintance with, but you did Monique dirty by inviting people who abused her in her childhood on your show and did it as an ambush. And then you do stuff like this. So Oprah has been called out many a times for her little snake shit that she does. So as this person said, that looks like Dallas. See, topics like this, I understand Monique. I think they meant topics like this is why I understand Monique more and more. Because why are we digging Whitney up to tell the world she was allegedly so high she fell off the stage? For what? Educational purposes? Historical records? Or another episode of Oprah's favorite game? Dropping a bomb, stepping back, and letting everybody else deal with the fallout. The part that gets me is the saint image. Didn't I call her Saint Oprah? I call her Saint Oprah because she always try to play that damn I'm a saint. No, you not. You the devil in disguise. And a lot of the shit that you do, she do some real snake shit. The part where was I? It's never direct smoke. It's always a carefully packaged story told with concern in the voice and a smile on the face. Whitney has been gone for years. We didn't need this information, and she isn't here to challenge a single word of it. Some people don't start mess loudly; they do it elegantly. Oh, she's one of those. She's an elegant shit starter. Now somebody going to say Oprah going right next to Epstein when it's time, child. But yeah, y'all got the gist. I just wanted to read that last one because I was like, oh yeah, Dale hit directly on the head in regards to that. But anyway, speaking of nail hit on the head and things of that nature, I want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Do you think that Oprah was out of pocket for telling this story about Whitney? I just still just don't understand what was the point of her even bringing this up. But it was like the last comment I read, I felt like hit the nail directly on the head. So I want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. I hit the wrong damn one. Hold on. I was like, I'm taking out my banner. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Lizzo was 38, so food for thought. Her breakthrough happened at 31, so clock is ticking fast. Isn't Lady Gaga a radio artist? But I guess she was also very lucky to establish. Well, yeah, that's the thing that I have to say about Lady Gaga is like, regardless of what she puts out now, even if her albums continue to flop or whatever, Lady Gaga has a solidified fan base, so she can go, and people have seen how she performs live. She can go and just perform with her and the piano and be successful. She's already established herself as a live act, and she's a great act to watch live. So she'll forever have a career, and her fan base is established. Lizzo doesn't have that. The pendulum will always switch, and at some point, maybe not in this decade, we'll eventually get tired of conservatism, MAGA, and things being so icky, and that's coming from me. He said the Trump dynasty will fall just like the Bush dynasty fell. It may not seem like it now, but there will always come a day where, of course it will, and we're gonna hashtag the shit out of it. Hashtag woke is back, and y'all can stay mad. You clear folk, y'all can stay mad at the bullshit. She may have she have to do a wait what? She have to do ballroom, which is 800. I mean, yeah, start small. You want the girls start all over. Start small because you don't even know, and that's the problem with not knowing who is your fan base. Who do you make your music for, and who's going to show up to what it is that you're doing. So you may have to play it safe and do 800 and 900 seats. As for Oprah, she revealed this information, and for what reason? Fuck her in that book club. From what I recall, Whitney got introduced to drugs by her. Yeah, definitely. Got introduced to drugs by her brother, but like I was saying, the brother's friend, brought weed and the bug of sugar to her at 16. So she been out here doing drugs before we even knew who the hell she was. And you got to watch out for them church girls, and the boys, because when y'all be running around with parents that's holy and sanctified, and you got kids up in that, they be doing far worse shit than us secular folk. They be getting all kinds of taking it in the butt, doing all kinds of drugs, because they do as Wendy used to call it, third input. So yeah, I'm gonna do an anal because I gotta say my pussy for marriage. Well, we shall hear that new song. Wait, isn't it Thursday? Wait, isn't it supposed to be Friday when we get new music? Unless they changed it. I almost forgot what day it was. People love to bootleg and worship Oprah when that woman's evil spirit has been revealed so many times. Haven't we learned to let people rest in peace? Haven't we? Not she hasn't. Just like she was the same person that Gail said she got mad because when they was out there saying that them two was out here scissoring, Oprah just let it ride. She's like, but you got a man. I'm trying to get me one. And they be thinking that we licking each other's labia minora and majora. Oprah, like any publicity is good publicity as long as they talking about me. I turn my comments off on social media. It seemed like from a PR aspect, bringing this up was to create shock value. Of course it is. Isn't that why they always do it? You did it for she knows how to algorithm. She out here algorithm hustling like the rest of us, clickbaiting. Not season, child. It was a season to desist. When I saw that, I'm like, is this for real? Just like Gail brought about accusations about Kobe after his death. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And you said, remember when Whitney cursed? Oh, that was a legendary interview. I remember I listened to it on the radio when as it happened. It was definitely a cackle. Did y'all hear I heard, I laughed when I heard it. Y'all heard when Armand Wiggins got kicked out of Casanat's little school thing because he's like, he's too old. Like, you in your 30s trying to run up in here with this little 20-year-old. And I did not know that he and King of Reeds had beef, because King of Reeds referred to him as the Ninja Turtle with the teeth. When I heard that, I'm like, not the black sissies out here fighting each other. This is why I stay in my little cubicle and my goddamn business. Except I instigate and I just laugh at the buffoonery. You said Whitney is a prime example of how how repression from religion, and especially the thing about the what her mother said about if she had a gay child. And Whitney was suppressing them things, because I told her once upon a time my teacher was a paparazzo and used to take pictures running backwards of Whitney and all of them, Mike Tyson, all of them back in the day. It's funny, I got so many stories. I'm like, all this shit happened to me. It's like Whitney, yeah. So and I do think it was a lot of that repression, and that's how it works for a lot of them. You said, did I listen to? Yeah, I sure did. Did Mariah's interview with Wendy as it aired? That was another thing too. Like, I'm telling you, before Wendy was Miss TV personality or whatever, I would listen to Wendy like crazy on the radio back in Hot 97 until she got fired and she went over to Philly. There was no way I could listen to her in Philly. So out of sight, out of mind, we all moved on until she came back and did BLS. So it was like, yeah, we didn't have like, yeah, because I don't think we didn't have like the Philly stations and stuff out here. Now things have changed because of the internet. All right, y'all. So now let's get into some. I guess it's not lighter news because it's some sad news regarding Joe Manganiello. So let's talk about Alcide from True Blood, because he's spilling some tea about his personal life, because he got an upcoming memoir coming out called Bloodlines, and he started revealing some private health battle. Sidebar, did y'all hear about Liza Colby from All My Children going through an ongoing health battle, and her friends had to set up a GoFundMe in order to help her? I'm like, God damn, everybody's sick. Everybody's got ailments, and everybody's setting up GoFundMe. Shit, I need to set me up a GoFundMe just for the hell of it. There's no reason. I just want to set one up. But anyway, so Manganiello's forthcoming memoir, Bloodlines, which hits shelves on October 16th, follows the 49-year-old True Blood actor as he details a previously undisclosed health ordeal marked by multiple near-death experiences and medical crises that led him beyond medicine and into a remarkable globe-spanning quest that revealed answers about his ancestry, inherited trauma, and the deeper histories we carry, per a press release. In it, Manganiello writes that his health suddenly deteriorated without warning one day as a cascade of autoimmune-related illnesses attacked his skin, thyroid, eyes, lungs, and digestive system. This is according to a synopsis in the book, by the way. The mysterious ailment led to a 7-year-long health battle in which Manganiello was plagued by chronic pain and underwent a life-saving organ amputation, existential crisis, and a prolonged fight for survival that left doctors with few answers and no clear explanation. The Deal or No Deal Island host described that period as the most brutally difficult time in my life. This is what he said in a statement to People, adding, one I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, but also my greatest adventure. He said, I hope that what I went through on this journey can give readers hope that answers and healing may lie for them on the other side of whatever they are fighting through. The process of writing this book gave me the gift of perspective that helped me to see that my suffering was a cocoon from which I would emerge forever changed. So they say, in addition to his health battle, Bloodlines will also see Manganiello reflect upon inheritance, masculinity. I'm saying it like that because I was watching Pose last night, and that's how Pray Tell said it. Faith, ambition, and the identities we build to endure. So, and it was also said it made him look into his ancestry and stuff. So, a lot of times when we have like these ailments and things that's going on in our body, I feel like a lot of times we don't necessarily know where a lot of that comes from, or we tend to inherit a lot of autoimmune situations or whatever the case is. Like, you know how like sometimes people always say, well, this person, I have cancer or heart disease or whatever on one side of the family or both sides of the family. So you feel like that it's premeditated. Like if my parents have had it and this person has had it and other person's had it, then I have the possibility that I might get it. So a lot of times I feel like we definitely need to look in our ancestry and to know like because when you start mixing all these chromosomes, when the father and the mother get together and their ancestries trickle down into the new kid and they grow up and then you start developing all these ailments, these are crazy things we have to look into. We don't even think about these things that we have to look into that. So I'm sure this book will be inspirational. And I'm sure, like we was talking about earlier, like when I use Funky Dineva as an example with his prostate cancer, whatever, that's maybe there's something in the book that will inspire people to want to look into their getting better on the health front. So I say, let's say, what do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are on this matter. And if you're going to buy Joe Manganiello's book, let me know in the comments down below. All right, y'all. So now let's take a trip back to the 80s. And let's talk about Judith Light's son, Jonathan Bauer, over there on Who's the Boss, aka Danny Pintaro. So a couple of months ago, Danny Pintaro actually admitted, because you know he was in Cujo, he's been in a couple of movies. He did best known as Jonathan Bauer, as I said, on Who's the Boss, I believe 8 seasons. Recently revealed that he works at Amazon, because they're very freelance in regards to they're flexible with their schedule, and it allows him to go on and audition for different things. Because you know, if you're an actor, you're only as big and you're only as good as your last role. So you always have to keep a flexible schedule so that when you can run off and do this film, this show, this whatever, that. Speaking of which, I just found out today, and I may have to rewatch the damn movie. One of my coworkers told me that he was in Bros, playing one of the straight guys that got made up. But anyway, so in April, the former child star made headlines after he shared photos of himself working as a delivering driver. Within days after fans expressed confusion about why he would need such a job after his time on the hit sitcom, Pintaro was making the rounds to explain the harsh realities of being a working actor. And during a recent visit to the Pod Meets World podcast, Pintaro noted that the Amazon ordeal wasn't the first time witnessing such an intense reaction to the idea of actors working additional jobs. Well, remember, people were shocked when they found out that, I forget his name, but Elvin from The Cosby Show was working at a Trader Joe's, and people gagged that he was working as a cashier. I'm like, you do know when we do the entertainment stuff, like with me, I work a regular job and I do entertainment stuff as well. I get paid to do that, but also we all, you know, we got bills, we got things to pay. We can't sit and rely on just, you know, you sitting here watching us that we're going to be able to pay whatever we got to pay. I'm going to give you the harsh reality. A lot of people sit up here and try to put on this little fake facade of fantasy. Yeah, we rich. We out here just doing stuff off the entertainment industry alone. I'm not trying to cash out credit card or max out credit cards and those other stuff just so that way I can put up a fake ass facade so I can make it look like I'm living a fabulous life, and then I'm out here fucking struggling and broke, and just because I want to keep up with the Joneses or I want to give this illusion. I don't care about all that mess. So if you got bills and yeah, you've done a great job saving up your money that you made from being a child actor, I shouldn't have to continuously dip into that so that I can be able to pay bills, because now syndication ain't paying the bills. People not buying box sets of TV shows. People are not buying all the things that to keep that money coming in. I mean, didn't we hear Billy Porter talk about that he was making his check was 6 cents? We've heard a lot of people talk about how like they were getting like one, I think Jodie Sweetin, who played Stephanie Tanner on Full House, said that she got a 1 cent check from Full House. What the fuck I'm gonna do with a penny? The only penny that we could figure out what we want to do is the one from Good Times. So anyway, he said near the end of the show, I wanted a summer job just for fun. Fantano told host Boy Meets World alums Danielle Fishel, Will Friedle, and Ryder Strong. So I worked at the Gap, and somebody brought in a hidden camera and took pictures of me folding clothes and said, he's already lost all his money. The downfall of Danny Fantano, series regular on Who's the Boss, and he's working at the Gap. Was it Perez Hilton that took that picture and wrote that article? Just jokes. Or is it? Now, Fantano explained that the past few months have taught him that people simply don't understand the finances of working actors and wrongly believe that they all have lucrative careers that are actually enjoyed by a select few. That is so true. And I was funny enough when I was saying about, I was talking to a guy that I worked with that also was an actor. We say that it's like, yeah, there's a small percentage of people that are making a great career from this. When you look at the Timothy Chalamets and the Zendayas and the Tom Hollands and the Pedro Pascals and all these other people, they're the chosen few that are actually making a career out of, and the Coleman Domingos. When you see these people in everything now, that is why they're doing it. It's like because they're the it celebrities of the moment. They're making the bucks. They're the ones that are riding the success. Then there's people out there that you get a piece here, you get a piece there. Once upon a time, you could do a commercial, and I remember those days when I used to be doing extra work, and the amount of money I was making doing little commercials and stuff. Oh my God, that was some good damn money back in the 2000s. But the times have changed. You can live off of doing one commercial for a whole year. You can't do that no more. They ain't paying people. They ain't got money flowing like that. Although I did hear that that last Jurassic World movie, which was god awful, the amount of overexpending they were doing in regards to like hotel expenses and this, that, and the other. There was a story that came out of that today. And I was like, yeah, y'all talking about y'all broke, but y'all putting money into the wrong things. So he said, when I posted the picture for Amazon Flex, I really didn't. It did not cross my mind because everybody knows that I'm working. It's one of the 5 different gig jobs that I'm doing right now. We're gig actors. Acting is one of the 6 gigs. Fantano, who's now 50, was just 8 years old when he began starring alongside Tony Danza and Judith Light on the iconic sitcom Who's the Boss, aired for 8 seasons throughout the 80s and early 90s. As it began before DVD and streaming, there was no language in the actors' contracts about earning money from those avenues in the future. Because I think nobody was really thinking about that. And that's unfortunately why they're not making any money. For that reason, the sitcom alum makes very little in residuals and shared that the money he makes from driving Amazon is surprisingly good. On the podcast, he noted that in a 2 to 3 hour shift, he makes around $80 to $100. He said, we have to do what we have to do to survive. We've got to keep moving as humans. We're all doing it. I'm not different from you in that sense. We've never been different from you in that sense. I don't make money from residuals. His stance was met with agreement from Boy Meets World alums like Friedle, adding, most people in any form of creative field, if you're an artist in any way, you're a musician, you need to do something else. There's the very, very select group of people that are making a good living in the artistic field. Friedle continued, and to other people, they're like, that's the craziest thing. You have a job? I'm like, yeah, I'm an actor. I might have a great year and then have 5 shitty years. And people don't realize that's how it is. This industry there's no safety net. There's no guarantee. You can be on cloud 9. You can have a whole 3 years of just back to back movies, just all this great stuff coming out. And then you can go on and for the next decade, a bunch of shit. So it's fickle. But everybody thinks it's all lollipops and rainbows, and it's not. Oh my gosh, this is so annoying. I don't know why my camera is being a pain in the ass. It's like, stop moving, damn it. Anyway, now to amid the initial reaction to his delivery driver gig, he told people that the general public overestimate what residuals from a sitcom in the 80s and 90s look like. He said, I invested a good portion of that money, but I also used a lot of it to pay for Stanford and to get through my early 20s. So it's not like there's just been endless money sitting there. I was like, yeah, I got to take care of myself. But Ryder Strong also jumped in and said, there's always been a fantasy, like a mystique about actors, like they must live a fantastic life in a big house and have people waiting on them. Like if you're on a TV show or you're in a movie, you've made it and it's done, and it's just not the truth at all. And it's only gotten worse. So, um, but yeah, and that's exactly how it is. It's like, no, people think once you've made it, then you've arrived. That's it. You don't still have to work. It's like, no, I still got to be out here and hustle and grind and things. Yeah, I get scripts sent to me and I can read and decide whether or not I want to do the part or not. But you're always constantly hustling when you're an artist, because it's freelance. You're a gig act. Whether you're an actor or you're a singer, you're going from gig to gig, and you just got to keep working. It's like even Whoopi Goldberg said, it's like, yeah, I got bills to pay. I got to work. It's like, yeah, she got the steady gig over there on The View, but she does other things on the side as well. Because it's like, yeah, that money's good, but you got to constantly be out here gigging if you're, and like they say, if you're a creative, if you're an artist. So I say all this to say, what do you all think of this story regarding we have a child actor who's out here just giving y'all the harsh realities of, yeah, how the world really is? Because, yeah, I do believe that people have this fantasy of, they think that, oh, yeah, once you've made it as an actor, then you arrived. All this, like the Brinks truck is just, it's just raining money in your house like a waterfall in your yard. It's like, no, that's not how it works. And I just love the fact that we have celebrities who are now doing podcasts that are breaking down this preconceived notion. But it's funny, y'all sitting out here saying all of this, and you'll still have people out here who are still shocked to believe that their favorite actor is working a regular job. It's like, I gotta make money. I can't just sit around waiting for Hollywood to give me a role. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. That Oprah didn't say shit because she probably, you thinking she was out there tasting that booger, doing that booger show, or you talking about the lesbian thing with her and Gail? Wasn't she just out here performing the other day too? I think I saw a video on that. He said, but there was a lot of actors since the 70s, 80s, and 90s who left Hollywood and gotten regular jobs and are no longer acting. I don't understand why people are shocked. Exactly. Because I feel like it's not even like, oh well, yeah, they're working a regular job. It's the addition of, oh, I clocked you. You were this famous person, and now I want to put you on blast and embarrass you because I now see you in this. Oh, now you one of us. When did I ever give this preconceived notion or this energy that I was better than you? So I don't know what is this gotcha moment that a lot of people want to have when they're on the internet, when they're on social media, taking pictures of celebrities and putting it online and trying to create a whole narrative around them like they should be full of shame and embarrassment. Remember how we were talking about Gen Z going to the movies? It dawned on me with the success of Hilary Duff, TLC, and Roxette and other tours is a nostalgia going more for the music industry tour. I think there is a lot of nostalgia that goes with, because look, when I worked the Bleachers concert last night, I had no idea he had that many damn fans, but he did. Industry where a lot of the Gen Z touring industry is not really great terms. Now, most, if not all, of those old sitcoms are on streaming, so I'm sure those was it. Yeah, because of course, if it's on streaming, because I think you could watch. I forget what you could watch. Was probably Hulu. Because if you're watching a lot of these shows on the streaming services, yeah, they're not paying these people who are, if we're sitting there streaming it. We would always think like the residuals would come if they play the sitcoms and stuff on like cable TV or something. I got a wake up call about working actors when the strike happened. When I found out a lot of them don't make enough to help, absolutely, and the fact of how much money you got to pay for dues and stuff if you got a SAG card. I have much more respect for the working actor. Like you said, as bad as the economy is and the high cost of living in LA, ain't nothing wrong with working to survive. Absolutely. Even if it boils down to starting the OnlyFans, which a lot of your fame celebrities have done. Sadly, Whoopi got to pay off, not exes. You think is she paying Ted Danson too? Because she was married to him once upon a time. Wasn't she also married to Frank Langella? Oh, wait, I don't think she was married to Ted Danson. She dated him. But I think she was married to Frank Langella at one point. She got to pay off her ex-husbands. Like, child, this is why I say don't get married. Then you can keep your money to yourself. All right, y'all. So now we are finally down to our final four topics. So before we get to our final four, if you could please do me a solid, hit that like button, smash the notification, hit the hype channel. I mean, hit the hype button. All the things that help push this show out in the algorithm. Also, I don't know if y'all know, and I forgot to mention it earlier, but I do have a Patreon. I have one video up so far. When I can have time to make more, I will make more. But it's my reaction to Madonna's 20-minute music video thingy. Well, not even 20 minutes. It's like well, it's a 20-minute in length from me running my mouth. But the video, y'all already know, the little music video short film thing that she showed at the Tribeca Film Festival. That reaction is up. Definitely respond to it, like it, comment, all that good stuff over on the Patreon. It's down in the description situation below. Please and thank you. Now, without further ado, wait, actually, I hope I put the thing down, and now I got to check after I'm done, because I might have, when I was trying to put the show together real quick, I may have forgotten to put that in there, so I'm going to add it after the show if I didn't, but I'm going to have to check once I'm done with the live. But anyway, without further ado, I can stop rambling. Let's get into some Sam Smith tea. So, they have announced that they have a new album coming out called Hazel Eyes and released a song called My Guy. Not that song. No one can do because I'm stuck like glue to my guy. But it's not the same song. But with this song, it basically highlights that Sam Smith is in Lurb, L-U-R-B. He in Lurb. And you kind of see their partner in the video. I'm assuming that's the person that they're in a relationship with. And the song shows Sam at their most vulnerable, which I will have to say, quite liked seeing them in this vulnerable state. Now, the question remains, do people want to hear the music is another story. But I believe they did say that, well, let's get into the article, and they give a little insight into coming up with the record. So the album is actually coming out, funny enough, on my father's birthday, which is August 21st via Capitol Records. Oh, so someone else is on Capitol besides Katy Perry? Now, Smith co-produced Hazel Eyes with Simon Aldred and David Odlum, touting 12 songs that were crafted with collaborators Feast, Shazad Ismaili, and Rob Moose. The record was partly recorded at not Electric Lady Studios, that's down in New York, child, West 8th Street. I used to walk past there all the time, and is described in a press release as a heartfelt ode to the city of New York, which Sam now calls home. It's funny, all the LGBTs are moving here. First, well, Sam Smith lived out here. Adam Lambert moved out here and said that their new album, Adam, was inspired by New York as well. So, they said the album is an incredibly special record to me. I've been writing it for over 3 years with a very small group of beautiful, dear friends of mine. This album is very personal, and I feel I have deepened myself as an artist through the making of it, through being a producer on the record to walking alongside this record from the start to the finish and pushing myself at every single turn. This record and this music is incredibly romantic. I've learned so many life lessons through making this album, and I've documented it all through the music. Well, the first song, I will have to say, My Guy, definitely feels very romantic. It feels like Sam is very much in love. Now, you writing this record, I know this is capturing a certain part of your life. I hope the relationship lasts because if y'all break up, are you gonna be like Tay Tay? When y'all write, when you know she love writing a good breakup record. Now, the song My Guy was co-written by Smith, Feast, and Ismaili, along with, and it also dropped the music video, saying, "This is a song that I feel I have been waiting a lifetime to write and sing." Note Smith, written with beautiful friends on a summer's day in New York. This one fell out of the sky. In this sometimes cold and distant world, I hope you can feel the love and the closeness of this recording. I tried to capture the glow and the warmth of love in this one. It makes me cry. Maybe it will make you feel a little love too. But yeah, definitely there's a lot of intimacy and very much a lot of connecting, and he definitely seems like he's madly in love, or they're madly in love. Sorry. Now, Smith last released their 2023 album Gloria, featuring the single Unholy with Kim Petras. More recently, Smith staged residencies at Brooklyn's Warsaw and San Francisco's Castro Theater, where they were one of the first performers to grace the refurbished stage. And see, look at Sam Smith. Sam's still running around here doing, I mean, even though they're a big star, they go to like little holes in the wall and small venues and perform. I love when a celebrity can relinquish their ego, unlike some of these bitches out here who always think they just going to arenas. And it's like, you know what? I know I'm talented. I know I can sing the house down boots, and I can just go anywhere and I can perform and still get that intimacy. And when he was performing in Brooklyn, he sold out a lot of those shows. So yeah, so I'm actually surprised that Sam was working with someone like Feast, but I'm definitely curious to hear the new album because I ain't particularly cared for Gloria, no shade. So shout out to him. Oh, sorry, shout out to them. Shout out to Sam. And I'm looking forward to hearing the album when it drops on August 21st. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Are you looking forward to new Sam Smith to put in your virginal ears and get all lovey-dovey with your loved one or with yourself by listening to it? So whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Excuse me. Are they still wearing corsets and 10-inch heels just to look goofy? Child, let me tell you, well, if you ain't see the video, they do wear a dress. I was like, what is Sam wearing? Although there's somebody I work with that also does. I'm like, what is this thing with the twirly mustache thing? Is that like a new trend that's coming back? Because I work with somebody that has like a similar type of mustache. Yeah, I was even gonna say that too. That Sam actually looked good. Love will do that to you. People think everybody makes what Ryan Reynolds make per movie. Well, look, he had to make Deadpool in order to get that kind of coin. Because quiet as it's kept, wasn't nobody really featuring Ryan Reynolds in that way. But anyway, hold on. All right, y'all. So now let's get into some drag race news. So we had two drag race reveals this week. One, it was Canada versus the world. It looks all right. And that comes out, I think, in like 2 weeks on Wow Presents Plus. But the one that really got me going, you got me, gal, was none other than Drag Race Down Under, which I will admit, I was not a fan of Drag Race Down Under when it first came out. And then when Ru was doing it, because it felt like to me that RuPaul wasn't all that excited when he was doing Drag Race Down Under. But since he left that franchise and Michelle Visage took over it, last season was actually quite entertaining. So I'm not going to hold you. I'm actually looking forward to seeing Drag Race Down Under. I was actually looking forward to seeing it anyway. But when they announced who was going to be a part of Drag Race Down Under versus the world, I know that is a mouthful. I truly gagged. And I was like, I am seated. So one of the girls that is going to be making it on this new season is none other that's competing is Raven, who was on season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race and All Stars 1, right? and never got crowned either time. So if this is gonna feel, please, I hope this is not gonna feel like, oh, this is some producer steering type mess where y'all trying to steer it that Raven finally wins, like y'all did with that season with Alyssa Edwards, which that franchise was straight up ass. And then what y'all did with Ginger Minge. We always wanted to see Ginger Minge become a winner of Drag Race, but then the way the producers was doing what they were doing over there on that show pissed a lot of the fans off. And I felt like that moment where we could be out here celebrating Ginger's win, people are just hating on her. But anyway, so did you ever doubt that RuPaul's Drag Race would bring Raven back to compete on another season? Well, guess what, Mimi? They did. I know y'all get that reference. Tuesday's All-Star Drag Race Down Under versus the World cast announcement included some shocking news for fans of the franchise, as Raven, Emmy-winning makeup artist RuPaul's Drag Race and Season 2 alum, RuPaul and Season 2 alum, has returned to compete on her first season since All Stars 1 in 2012. Now, Raven joined Drag Race Down Under versus the World as one of 3 contenders for the crown, hailing from American versions of the show. Now, the other 2, I'm definitely excited for because I love watching them. One, we got my girl Nicole Paige Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia. You always got to say it like that. Who just did All Stars 10. And we got season 13 Miss Congeniality winner and All Stars A Queen of the Fame Game title holder Lala Ree. And I love me some Lala Ree. I love the Lala Ree experience, and how Alexis Michelle was lusting after Lala Ree on that season. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing it because Lala makes good TV. No shade. So I love the fact that we're getting these girls to be a part of the show. And so, I mean, I don't think I haven't even seen the trailer for it yet, but I know they had to Meet the Queen. So I got to check and see it. I don't even think they even released it, a trailer yet, but I definitely need to see one. So Raven, they said Lala, who uses he, him pronouns, previously told EW that he quit drag because he was doing drag for everybody else and wanted to get back in touch with his other artistic interests. He eventually returned to the art form. So yeah, we already knew that feeling was short-lived, and then decided to, you know what, I need to get back to it. And sometimes, look, if you're a drag performer and you need to find a way to step away from all of that stuff, take time off. I feel like that's like with any job. If you need to rejudge revitalize your energy, don't sit and focus so much on just doing, the same thing over and over until you're like dried out. Like, take a break from it, and then when you feel inspired again, because that's what artists do anyway, go back to it. Don't just be like, I'm quitting drag. I'm like, well, damn, just take a breath. So now, speaking of EW, following her elimination from All Stars 10, Nicole spoke on drama amid the cast after other contestants schemed their way through the bracket-based point system format of the season. Why y'all talking about old shit? No shade to Entertainment Weekly, but why y'all bringing up stuff that happened during those seasons? I want to know the juice of what we could expect from this upcoming season of Drag Race Down Under versus the World. So she said, what drew me to the show is that the workroom shows an accurate dressing room. There's going to be a queen in there trying to get the show director job who will lie and scheme. She said, she'll stab you in the back the second you turn around. On Drag Race, we have cameras everywhere, so we see it played back when we get home. It's an accurate view of life. Your coworkers don't have your best intentions at heart. They want to be in charge. Now, the trio of RuPaul's Drag Race alums joins the cast of 11 queens from around the globe who will compete for Queen of the Mother-Tucking World. And I'm sure you can see a lot of the queens here who are going to be a part of it. But for those who are like, well, who are these girls that's up in there? I just want to put this picture of Raven up, by the way. So the other queen that's going to be competing on the show will be Art Simone from season 1 of Drag Race Down Under, Coco Jumbo from season 1, Nikita Iman from season 4, and Vibe from season 4. Now, we also have Drag Race España season 2 Queen Floor, Drag Race Philippines season 2 competitor Miss Jade So, and Michael Maruli from RuPaul's Drag Race UK season 5. There was something I was watching when somebody was like, I just want to say Michael Maruli just for the sake of saying Michael Maruli. And that is so funny that you have a drag queen who's going by like just a regular, like a man's name. I just think there's a bit of irony with that. Now, also returning to the stage As judges for Down Under's edition will be Michelle Visage, Reese Nicholson, and Lazy Susan, who is the winner of Drag Race Down Under season 4. And we've already had Versus the Worlds done in UK and Canada. And if you're looking forward to seeing Drag Race Down Under Versus the World, the new season is going to be premiering July 24th on Wow Presents Plus. So I'm actually looking forward to this this season because Drag Race Down Under versus the World is actually Drag Race Down Under has become quite entertaining now that Michelle's taken it over. Quiet as it's kept, I would prefer if we had somebody like Courtney was hosting the Down Under version since she is Australian. It would have been cool if they would have had her do that, but we already know there was some drama confluent between her and RuPaul, and that's not happening. But this is who she's giving it to, her good Judy. I'm just curious to know, like, when RuPaul does decide to retire, even though Michelle's trying to say he's never going to, who would they want to take over the situation? Or we can get some of these alums to come and just create their own drag show. So I'm looking forward to it, and I definitely want to hear from you all. What do you guys think of this story? Are you looking forward to seeing this upcoming season of Drag Race Down Under versus the World? Especially because we have our American girls. We got Raven, we got Nicole Page Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia, and we got Lala Ree. So we're gonna have the Lala experience. We're gonna have Nicole with her shady Southern isms, and Raven being messy. But they definitely, I'm sure a lot of people online will probably say, oh, y'all just setting this up for Raven to basically win the show because she should have won back then, but y'all gave it to Tyra Sanchez at the time, knowing what we know now. But back then first of all, we all knew that Tyra was problematic the way she was acting on the damn show, but Ru chose to reward her any damn way. So whatever your thoughts are, let me know what your thoughts on this story in the comments down below. I have never been gagged so much by a cast reveal than this. I was never expecting Raven to be cast. Not even the spoiler accounts knew. That was another thing I noticed too, is that, yeah, RuPaul's, I was like, y'all slipping out there? Because y'all didn't even know that the shit happened. Like, nobody knew that Raven was on this show. They managed to keep it secret. None of the gay bloggers knew, the sleuths, none of them spilled it. The Reddit, the Reddit accounts, nobody was spilling it. Like, y'all be knowing every damn thing, allegedly, because I know y'all got All Stars 12, the names and all that stuff. People had Laganja up in there. I'm like, Laganja is not, I know for a fact Laganja is not doing this upcoming season. So when I'm coming out with these lists, I'm like, some of these ain't accurate. But yeah, that actually gathered that they actually got one over on y'all. So look, it is possible y'all can keep that secret. Or maybe because it's down under, some people wasn't really paying attention. But that would have been a great that would have been some good juicy tea to spill. I'm still rooting for Nicole Page Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia, and Lala Ree to win this season, though. Yeah, because I know that's going to be an entertaining season to have them on there. Any thoughts on Crystal Versace ranking the muggiest girls from show and the outcry from it? Makeup artist, she will always. I didn't hear anything about the this whole situation with them. I have to look into that. What's she doing on TikTok? Anyway, let's get into this messy story. So Billy Porter wants people to believe that he had to hire a professional to teach him how to take dick up his ass. When quiet as it's kept, I had a friend that literally wrote in the comments, damn, I should have pulled it up. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. What he said, because, child, I read, and trustably, well, one, I'm going to tell something. I actually ran into Billy Porter and his husband at the time. They was at a sex party that I went to that was being hosted, or not hosted, but it was being promoted by a friend of mine, Dangan Ardicchio. He does like a lot of the parties and stuff in New York, particularly Fire Island, does come some of Midtown, this things of that nature. And Billy Porter was there with his husband at the time, you know, they divorced. And funny enough, his ex, the late Ari Gold, may he rest in peace, Sir Ari Gold, he was in a go-go cage that was descendant above the, you know, of the people in the situation. So there was like a back room, there was a dance floor, and that sort of thing. So what did he say? Oh, he said he was right next to me at a popular cruise bar. If there was an indication that he could not take dick that night, clearly was not it. That's what he said. And I spent and then I went and wrote, when he was married, he was at a cruise spot that my friend Duncan Ardicchio was promoting, and his ex was in a cage above the dance floor, going. We know she carries. So that's what I said. But anyway, let's entertain this foolishness, since Billy Porter wants us to sit out here and believe Miss Pray Tell hole ain't the size of the damn Lincoln Tunnel, the Holland Tunnel, or any tunnel you could think of. So this is coming from Queerty, by the way. So the Finding Fire Island series. Oh, they said the Finding Fire Island series from Jess Rothschild is a wonderful and informative historical exploration of Fire Island and Cherry Grove. It has previously been nominated for a GLAAD Media Award. The episode 3 of season 2 dropped last week. It's entitled Sex Before the Internet, and looks at cruising on Fire Island in New York in the 80s. And oh, I need to watch this now that I hear about it, because I didn't even know about this thing even existing. Because I've always been fascinated about stuff like this, especially like cruising and Fire Island and how New York was in the 80s and early 90s. Like when I started going out in the 90s, it was more or less, I mean, when I started going out in that whole scene of like the nightlife and stuff in New York, it was sort of like more towards like 96 and beyond. That's when I started going out and going into like hanging out, and maybe even earlier than that, I was hanging out on the piers and stuff, but before it was all gentrified. But more or less, that's when I was like really going out and stuff in New York. So luckily I missed the early 90s, because the early 90s, yeah, I probably wouldn't be here talking to y'all. But anyway, so among the contributors was Porter. He remembered visits to Fire Island, infamous, not the meat rack, child. Well, let me tell you, Chris was legendary in that meat rack back in the day. The meat rack ain't the same like it used to be, but child, let me tell you, when I was when I first started going to Fire Island in my early 20s, the things I remember, there was one guy that was on like face down, ass up, with a thing of Crisco, like not even Crisco. It was Vaseline, which was nasty. Number one, first of all, that Vaseline bottle looked nasty. Like there was some things that was like all kind of parasites and things. It might have been from the sand and stuff, but the children would carry in that meat rack back in the day. Now the meat rack ain't the same. But anyway, the meat rack, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's like a little trail that's like behind the beach that a lot of men would go to cruise and fornicate. So the children carried back then, and I was one of them. So he said, I spent some time in the meat rack. I ain't going to tell you all my business. You know, I'm a gay man of a certain age. Yes, I was in the meat rack. I moved here December 27, 1990 to be in the original cast of Miss Saigon. And so at the time, a lot of the Broadway community people went out there on Monday because that was the day off, which is why also I've said in the beginning why people loved RuPaul's Drag Race being on Mondays, because when it was on Mondays, you could play at the bars and things and that other, especially because I used to go in Hell's Kitchen back when Miss Cracker used to do her shows. Yeah, I knew her before she went on Drag Race, and Miss Cracker, so many other girls were hosting their shows and stuff in a lot of the Hell's Kitchen establishments and things of that nature. And a lot of times when you had those shows on Mondays, that's why a lot of times you would see the Broadway girls and so many others going in there, and the bars would be packed on Monday nights, because that was the perfect time for Drag Race to air. Then they decided to put on Friday, which I still think is a mistake, but I don't run the network, so I don't have a say so in that. So, yeah. So he said, So you left and you went out on Sunday night, you stayed through Tuesday afternoon, and you came back to do your show. I remember how magical it was. I'd never been to a place like that. We grew up very poor. I didn't go on vacation. I never experienced the beach. He went on to say that the only thing he found difficult was that he was one of the few black men on Fire Island back then. According to Porter, it's more integrated now. Well, according to Nico Aesthetics, it's not. But I'm like, bitch, you just weird. That's probably why it didn't resonate with you going to Fire Island. But trust and believe, I've always been able to fit in when I go out to Fire Island. So I don't get when people talk about, well, it don't feel like it's for me. And people, like, you always get them intersectionalist type fags that run around and try to act like that they're the prettiest thing in the room, or they want to be very much like in their own shit. I don't pay attention to them. First of all, I know people out in Fire Island that have parties and this, that, and the other. So that's who I'm mingling with. All the bar people and all the promoters and things that I know. And if I run, and I always tend to run into friends. You could ask Sailor Mermaid, because that time that we went to Fire Island, what was it, 2 years ago? I was running into people that I knew when I was out there. So, but yeah, I will agree with him on that when I was going to Fire Island, because we was probably going around the same time, it was very much like very few black people. But a friend of mine just did, what was it? A friend of mine, Ted, just did a DJ situation out there, because they have like Urban Bear Festival or something. So they do things out there for people of color. They just had the Urban Bear situation, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, they have all kinds of stuff out there. Now, later on, the documentary explores magazine ads and phone lines that connected men before they hooked up online. Porter said that he responded to some of the adverts. He said, yeah, I called a couple of escorts from HX, not you spilling tea on HX up in here. That I used to live for that magazine, which was a well-known New York City gay magazine. I'm telling some real personal ish right now. You know, I was what you consider a top. I'm gonna try to get through this with a straight face, but let's just, I was what you would consider a top. He continued. He explains that in the early years of the SIDA crisis, many thought the illness was something that only bottoms acquired. This led some men to take the more active role as a safety strategy. It led others to work out hard at the gym, to be as fit and healthy as possible, and to appear healthy to others, whether they had the virus or not. He said, oh, I'm a top was a common fear-based response, but by 30, I was ready to be versed. And I didn't really know where to go, and I wanted a professional, so I'd go to HX, and you had to vet over the phone. They had pictures, but you had to call, you had to talk. It wasn't text message, you had to hear the voice. That was the part of the allure of it, your voice, but I, had to hire a professional to teach me how to bottom. It's like, girl. So literally, they said at the 34 minute mark, they pretty much talk about how, the whole situation. I wish I could have played the clip, but now that this is the first time I'm actually going through this article, because I remembered it as I was putting the show together. Now, Porter's comments bring up issues not only concerning the impact of SIDA upon a whole generation of men, but around sex education too, because it goes to show that you thinking that you being on top, you're not going to get HIV or AIDS. That's crazy, because it doesn't matter whether you're where you're activo or pasivo. If we're going to talk Hispanic, just like I just call AIDS the Spanish version. If we're going to be doing that, it don't matter. HIV does not discriminate. AIDS don't discriminate. So they said, gay men have never given lessons about sex. Navigating one's sex life at a time when doing it without protection could end in death. Well, perhaps it's little surprise Porter turned to a professional for assistance. Porter revealed in 2021 that he's living with HIV. He didn't discover the fact until 2007. Now, talking to the Hollywood Reporter, Porter, because it's like you gotta say that. Said it, Porter. He said, I was the generation that was supposed to know better, and it happened anyway. It was 2007. the worst year of my life. I was on the precipice of obscurity for about a decade or so, but 2007 was the worst of it. By February, I had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. By March, I signed bankruptcy papers, and by June, I was diagnosed HIV positive. The shame of that time compounded with the shame that had already accumulated in my life silenced me, and I have lived with the shame in silence for 14 years. HIV positive, where I came from, growing up in the Pentecostal church with a very religious family, is God's punishment. And so, you know, that, and then recently, damn near died after he ended up in the ICU with a bad case of sepsis. Similar thing that happened with Madonna. She had sepsis, ended up in the ICU, almost died, and look, they both recovered. She's back with a new album coming out next week. He's back, and he about to go on Broadway. Not back on. He's already on Broadway. He's doing a limited run of La Cage aux Folles at the New York City Center, where he's playing a drag performer by the name of Alum, and Wayne Brady is playing his partner George. So, I think he's also doing drag. Well, of course, he's doing drag because it's La Cage aux Folles. So, with that, he's going to be doing drag performances and things. But yeah, all jokes aside, I'm like, okay, so you had a high professional. I've never come. I mean, luckily, I've never hired an escort or whatever the case was. But I do find it interesting that, yeah, I do agree with the fact that there is a serious lack of education regarding same sex health and things of that nature. Luckily, when I was coming up in ACQC in New York, that's where I learned a lot about HIV and AIDS and doing community outreach, because that was another way that I used to get up in clubs without having to pay, is I would do community outreach. Child, I was hustling, trust to believe. I would do community outreach, me and another guy. We would do community outreach where we'd be giving out condoms and things in the clubs, in the bars and things. And then when we were done giving all that stuff, we stayed behind, and this was like when I was in like Jackson. I would do the Jackson Heights bars and clubs. So a lot of the men that were coming up in there, a lot of the Hispanic men, I was giving out a lot of the condoms, like packets with condoms and pamphlet information and all other stuff. And then after that, I would stay and I would watch the Go-Go Boys and the Go-Go Boy contest or the drag shows and all other stuff. And that's how I got acquainted with a lot of the people up in there. So I did what I had to do to be out in these streets, bitch, and getting up in the clubs for free and the bars. So shout out to Billy Porter. You know, all jokes aside about the whole bottoming thing, education is definitely important and something that we definitely need to continue to push for within the queer community. So, with that being said, I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what Billy Porter revealing in this video, which is called Sex Before the Internet, Cruising on Fire Island, which is currently on YouTube. You can definitely check it out. I think it came out 6 days ago, which is actually good. I'm gonna definitely check out. They said one person said, "I love that you have used heated rivalry images." So y'all, even in that, y'all, you're using that. But yeah. So I'm gonna definitely check this out when I get off of here, because I do love anything nostalgic about the gay life before I was born. So seeing that world, seeing how that was, seeing all the people that was out here carrying and doing everything. And I understand we had the AIDS Holocaust and all this other stuff, but just seeing that old vintage New York and the whole gay New York vintage style has always been inspiring for me. And I always want to see that. And I think people need to continue to know our history so that we don't repeat it. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. She made a YouTube video and she called Lux delusional and said George's wasn't all that. It's pandemonium in the fandom. There was some, there was something I saw that Bussy Queen put out recently about there was some drama and whatever going on. I think I need to excuse me. I think I need to look that video up, because I meant to check that out earlier and I think I forgot. But anyway, what was we saying? Oh wait, why did I close that? Because I gotta I gotta add that to something later. My little headline. I did not mean to close that. All right. Oh wait, let me close this. I don't know why I had that open. Okay. What was we talking about? Maddie confirmed she was supposed to co-star and stop that train. I wonder which character she would have played. Oh, did she? I mean, I could definitely believe that she was supposed to be in it. I would have liked to. I'll wait until that comes out. Where I could watch it at home. Fire Island referring to their smallest minority as urban. They say. Are you talking about that little the festival thing that I was talking about? Unfortunately, it's still ongoing delusion that the penetrated is the source of any STI. They never realized the penetrated got it from somewhere. Absolutely. And that's why I said, like, y'all seem to forget that it takes a top and a bottom to be transferring the diseases and things of that nature. So if a bottom is gonna be out here getting HIV, you don't think the top's dick is what gave it to them? And 9 times out of 10, a lot of these men don't be out here getting checked. They don't be going to the doctor to get these HIV tests. Walking around full on pus, still leaking out their dick and acting like it's just normal. It's like, First of all, anything that's if it's leaking, it ain't coming in. But like, but I thought it was semen. That's not what that was. That's a little discharge. But anyway, speaking of discharge, let's talk about Drake Vaughn. That was a good segue. So apparently the award-winning gay adult performer has been arrested for a second time this month after being charged with driving under the influence in Las Vegas. And they talking about this latest thing could, well, the one where he attacked the girlfriend, which he claimed that he didn't. Word on the street is if convicted, he could end up spending 27 years in prison. But they'll probably call this fake too. So shout out to Straight Up Gay Porn because they had the tea. Now, gay for pay porn star Drake Vaughn, whose legal name is Dawson Bacon, appeared in a Clark County courtroom this morning to be formally charged following his arrest earlier this month for allegedly beating his girlfriend in their Las Vegas home. The Straight Up Gay Porn and Straight Up Gay Porn can now confirm that in addition to the first 3 counts already reported, Bacon has been charged with 2 more counts today: felony robbery and misdemeanor domestic battery. That's an additional domestic battery count, and it's not yet known if this means there was a second victim or if it's for a second instance of battery on the same victim. It's also not yet known whom Bacon is accused of violently robbing, but Straight Up is working to obtain the full criminal complaint for complete details. Bacon's 3 initial counts were felony domestic battery by strangulation, felony coercion of domestic violence using physical force, and misdemeanor domestic battery. Now, in the formal complaint today, the prosecution left all 3 of those charges in place while adding felony robbery and the additional domestic battery count. Felony robbery, a violent crime in which a suspect takes property from someone using force, violence, or threat, carries a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison in Nevada. Damn, y'all are quite harsh out there in good old Nevada. Wait, hold on, because I actually want to pull up the criminal situation so that way y'all can see it, because they stay coming with receipts with the criminal reports. I feel like Mims over here with the criminal report. So yeah. So now they said that what was it? It said carry the maximum sentence of 15 years in prison in Nevada. If convicted on all 3 felony counts, he faces a total of up to 27 years behind bars. Now, as Straight Up reported exclusively on Monday this week, Dawson Bacon was also charged with DUI after being arrested over the weekend. Bacon denied that he was drinking when he was arrested, but according to a police report obtained by TMZ, shows that officers allegedly found 13 nitrous oxide tanks as well as balloons and rubber bands inside the Tesla that Vaughn crashed. Were you about to go party? Because I'm like, why else would you need nitrous oxide tanks? And they said balloons and rubber bands. Because don't you need nitrous oxide to blow up balloons? But then I think some people be out here huffing nitrous oxide. The 23-year-old agreed to a sobriety test. The body cam footage obtained by the outlet shows him being led out of an emergency room in handcuffs before a police officer pats him down and puts him in the back of the police car. Vaughn was charged with 1 count of misdemeanor DUI after reportedly crashing his car into another vehicle. Photos released to TMZ show the passenger doors smashed in. Now, the case is pending and expected to be handled separately out of court. A status update on the robbery and DV case is scheduled for July 1st, and Bacon is not due in court for that hearing. Now, during his appearance today for the criminal complaint filing, Bacon was forced to submit to DNA testing, which is now the law in Nevada for anyone arrested on felony charges. Bacon's DNA profile will be entered into an FBI database for storage and additional testing. The full docket, including today's events and the additional charges, as we said, is here. It's so damn tiny, I can't even read it, but y'all can get an idea of like, this is one of them, and then we have another one, which is like, yeah, this damn print is so freaking tiny. But I'm sure, like, if you're watching on your TV, you can pretty much pause it and get an idea of what it might say. But yeah, it's so damn little, I can't even read that, but that's the record. And on that note, we'll just have to wait and see how this all turns out once we cross that bridge. But in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all what you guys think of this story. Apparently, Drake Vaughn out here trying to be like a problematic attention whore, just basically just getting all kind of criminal trouble, can't stay out of trouble. And then, of course, he'll come up and try to find some excuse on the why he's doing what he's doing. Oh, it's fake news, or it's this, or it's that. But it's like, the receipts don't lie. The police reports don't lie. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. They responded really fast to make monkeypox a fast dead on arrival. Child, I remember when I was working at one of the establishments in Chelsea. I think that was like one of the places that Boomer Banks actually goes to get his checkups. When I was working at that clinic in Chelsea, it was like a whole big thing with the whole monkey. That was like when monkeypox first broke. And the line and everything, everybody was coming up in there getting these tests and this and that. It was a scary time with all of that. But it was good to see like all my homosexual brothers coming up in there to get tested on it. And I think that was because there was this big world, this whole thing spread online. Was like, yeah, if you want to go and get like the monkeypox test and everything, go down to this place. And then they got overwhelmed. And I don't know. It was just crazy because like, at the time we was doing COVID tests and we was doing monkeypox. So it was crazy. What time was that? And this is all during that creature we got in the White House now. It was all during his first damn term. So on that note, wait, hold on. You said Nico just made a video about crushing 42 minutes ago. Wait, what's going on? Child. It's funny how you said child pay it. I just feel like he's becoming irrelevant with a lot of his topics. I mean, Nico's cool and all, but yeah, girl, as you said, pay it. I wrote a poem about gay for pay folks because Drake Vaughn kept coming to mind after your show revealed to me that the partner battered was a female and not the male he was suspected of being with. Yeah, because there was this video that was going around. It was like he's 20-something years old and the guy is in his 40s and they're dead. I be feeling them videos is bullshit. Oh, he did a video on cruise, and yeah, because I don't know if I'm gonna. And today, nigga, what do you mean? It's like the other day when he's about what is MAGA, and then trying to explain. I'm like, sir, this is not MAGA for dummies. Like, we all know what the fuck MAGA is at this point. If you don't know who MAGA is, then you just a dumb fuck, and y'all need to read a book or crawl out from under the rock you came from. Because I don't get how you have to sit and explain to people what shit is in 2026, especially when we talking about MAGA. Like, come on, Google is free. Use it sometime. So you saying that he talking about cruising? I'm trying to remember if somebody actually was talking about that recently. I guess I'll check it out and see. But, you know, them videos is a child. I'm like, cruising? Why are we talking about cruising this day and age? We all know how to do it. Or do we? But anyway, it's funny how I said I was going to give you all a short show. I guess 3 hours is short in my terms. But anyway, so yeah, thank you all for watching. We're at the end of the show. We'll be back on Monday. I'm going to be busy this week. I got 3 Rufus Du Sols to be doing this week. And then I got a Mets game on Sunday. So, child, I'm going to be busy. So yeah, I won't be back until next week with a brand new episode. You'll be getting a lot more episodes within that period, because you know we got a countdown to the whole Madonna thing. I'm gonna work on getting my friend Erica Lon on the show, who has pretty much his own clothing line. We've been talking about trying to get together on some stuff, so we're gonna work on that. Wait, hold on. Not Rob Shutter spilling tea about Madonna. He said that the reason why the biopic failed wasn't because of money. It collapsed over her. He said the budget wasn't a deal breaker. He said the issue was that every decision had to go through her. Studios expect collaboration. Madonna wanted control. I said that too. I said, girl, you haven't proven yourself to be a person to bring in the money with the movies. You do it with the music. With film, it's a collaborative effort, and everything is not going to go through you. If you want this movie to be made, then you need to make this movie as a collaborative effort. You got to work with other people. So if you're going to come up here and try to control everything, nobody's going to work with you doing that. You're a nightmare. So they're going to be like, well, fuck you and fuck this film. We won't make it then. So yeah, my friend Erica Lon has his own fashion line called Rico Star. I actually bought some stuff from him, and he wants to come on and talk about his, you know, he wants to come on and talk about that, his clothing brand and all that other stuff. So we'll try to work that into the schedule sometime soon. But you said, well, look, the album's gonna do what it's gonna do. A political acoustic album wouldn't be like anything anyone else is doing right now. It would have been more interesting than a reheating of her nachos that only diehard fans are living for. All right, y'all. So yeah, love you all for watching. I'll be back on next week with a brand new episode of the show. Thank you all for watching and all that good stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe, smash the notification bell, hype it, do all the things. Love you all for watching. Thank you for your continued support. And until next time, ciao, darlings.